talking about the market recap for anyone that didn't just hear 5 seconds ago, although I can't imagine why you wouldn't have just heard. So the market recap's going to be featuring both Mr. Sean.
Well, potentially. I am losing steam here.
Why
really
am I
fast.
saying Mr. Katina? That's George. Sean.
No, you can say Mr. Katina. That's fine.
What? I don't think I've said Mr. Katina before, but
yeah, you can keep saying it. It's all good.
It's all good. But hey, look, obviously it's going to be an interesting one here today. It is Thursday, everybody. The market is not dying anymore. We weren't really dying before, but we're definitely off of the lows, forming like a little bit of some higher lows, some wedges. That said, I'm looking a couple of shorts right now. I think for anybody out there, it was like a tale of like a million different cities today. You know, if you're looking at the Mag 7, there was a little bit of a split, like Tesla's weak. Palantir gained half of its move back. SMCI went red to green to red to, I guess it's green again. There's a heck of a lot happening. We had some earnings names that were pretty intense. Carvana down 14. It's trying to claw back into VWAP, so a lot to watch as we get into it. Just a heck of a lot that's going crazy. GameStop also, by the way, GameStop kind of, I don't know, there was no news on GameStop, and then it broke a trend to the downside. So I just jumped in. I guess I should just like take a fill somewhere. And I couldn't find any news on GameStop. I should always hesitate to say there was no news on something. I could not find any news on GameStop. So when I didn't see it, I just waited for it to revert the trend and just kind of jumped in the short. We'll play it back into VWAP. There's a couple of big runners, small cap runners that were going on. Sharif was looking at them, but as far as small caps go, this is like the first one that I'm going to trade. Oh, and one more thing. I don't know if there's going to be an imbalance on Nicola, but in our notes, it's a delete today. Remember, they're going bankrupt. So if that comes out as a massive sell imbalance, I might try that at the close. We'll see. You never really know how those things will go, but if the early look on it's like a few million to sell, probably worth a shot. I mean, they are going bankrupt.
Yeah, I mean, Nicola has been a disaster. I mean, we had Fisker bankrupt, Nicola bankrupt, Polestar eventually bankrupt. Like, all these names are eventually just going the way of bankruptcy. I shouldn't say
it's like Highlander.
I shouldn't say that.
There can be only one?
Oh, yeah. I don't know. Polestar is still $1.
Bang.
Wow. I mean, yeah, bang, right, yeah. I mean, this is the thing. It's like, I'm seeing less and less of these on the road now, but I mean, I still think they're... I still see. Do you?
Yeah.
No. I mean, I hope this is what a Polestar looks like here on the weekly. I mean, this is, again, not at its peak, obviously, $15. We can look back and look at a lot of these stocks and say the same kind of stuff. Yeah, I mean, it held nicely there at 65 cents. As long as they can stay above $1 and you kind of avoid that, like, that warning from NASDAQ, and then you got to, like, the minute you start reverse splitting, then the pressure from the shorts just can basically bankrupt the company by itself.
Yeah.
So,
it's a whole trade in.
All right, well, like, so I don't have that many shares left. You can still see I'm short Palantir. I guess I forgot to put in a stop order. Like I said, I am deteriorating very badly here. And all right, so 105. Hey, look, great to see Palantir all the way back up. I mean, that is for sure. We made good money shorting this 103, 103, 103, but we should have had a stop to get out right here. I don't know what was up with that, but we'll figure it out. 105, if you look back, like, I don't have that many shares, so this is why, like, I came back. It wasn't even touching the net, really. So I'm going to be red today. I would be green if I didn't trade Tesla, and we'll talk about that, and despite me having a $4 win or whatever. This 105 is an area right here. That's actually 104.50. You ramp it up into here. This is sort of where we were getting our best outs of the day. I'd been at 106. So it's getting close right now. Like, Palantir just got bought right up. Like, wow, what an amazing rally there for Palantir. I was trying to see what it did yesterday. So yesterday it was actually, down early, and then the rally started at 10:30, gave back a little bit, and then we had that news. Okay, so just trying to see. I feel like we can put on a little bit more here against 105 and just see what is the market doing. The market's still underneath VWAP. So Palantir really got excited here pretty good.
You sure? I have the NASDAQ over slightly.
I have it under, but at the end of the day...
I mean, it's at, like, either way, it's pretty much, it's on the line.
Intel?
Thank you very much, Nimrod, for the shout-out here. Before we go up to Sharif and get to the rundown, We'll go Mad World wants to look at NBIS, and Nimrod, happy Thursday, everybody. Neil, Wonder Boy or Golden Axe? Oh, Wonder Boy. There was a Freddie. There's probably a bunch of people that are like, what in the actual heck are you guys talking about? No, there was a discussion just toward the end of the show about the boys were talking about Sega. Like if you had like a Sega Master System or a Sega Genesis back in the day, and Wonder Boy was one of those games. So like,
there we go. We just shorted Palantir there, Nimrod. There it goes. So there's that short on Palantir. You won't see this, you know, like this right there. We just put it on. We just went short there at 65s or whatever, covered it in the 20s and in the 30s. So we have a little piece on a Palantir, but we just reshorted it there against 105.
Oh yeah, I know that game.
So, all right.
Yeah.
Let's just keep on trucking along here. Let's go over, if we're ready, we can go over to Sharif at the screen.
Am I muted? Welcome to the Afternoon Rundown, everyone, the show where you decide what we talk about every afternoon. The boys, locked and loaded, ready to look at the tickers as decided by you. But the only way to get your tickers on there is to join us on the How to Trade show during the midday and get into the chat and vote for your favorite tickers every day. But only the top few make it on, and you've got to be a subscriber in order to engage in the chat. So make sure you're liking, subscribing, and hopefully sharing. Here's a look at the triple Qs. All four major averages, guys, in negative territory today, with the worst off being the Dow. It's down 1 1/3. Here's a look at the triple Qs. The NQ is actually down 0.75%. The ES a little bit less, 0.7, and the Russell 2000 as well, also negative with these small caps, down 1.1%. Here's the first stock, PLTR, about $104 trading right now, down 7 and change, well off the lows, but another hit to Palantir after the sell-off yesterday. Looks as if Alex Karp will be taking about 10%, or sorry, he submitted a new plan to sell shares for the next 6 months. In addition to that, Pete Hegseth, the new defense secretary yesterday, announcing that they're looking to cut about 8% per year from the $850 billion a year defense budget, guys.
Face slapper, because just before we went on air, or just before we threw it over, we just put on a short, just made 60 cents on it. So, yeah, I mean, look, Palantir will actually be, for me, a red stock today. And part of that was because, well, it's going to be position pending, but it'll be close. So I'll call it a flat stock, but red holding this right now. So, all right. So if this, the move was just, I had written down here on the sticky note, 106 long. Well, the thing was, that came in like real quick, man, like right off the open as soon as that imbalance came, and then we had to realize that it was SSR as well. So there was no stopping this sell pressure, and it actually flashed down there right off the open on that huge candle, down to $101 when just before market open we were at 108. So it went down 7% almost immediately, battled back. This is where we were battling the longs. We got some out until eventually we had to take it all out at 104. So that was like $1.50 or so hit. We went long again, got some out. Then, if I can maybe zoom in just a little bit more just to show you, I have so many outs, but this was the game changer for me. So we were red in all of this, trying to chase longs, and we were able to get some out. So this is what I mean by it not being disastrous by any stretch of the imagination. But to make sure I have outs here on Palantir, it's bouncing off 104 right now. Okay, anyways, all right, end of the day. This is what it looks like. We went short finally when it broke 100. Thing is, we didn't get it right when it broke 100. We actually got the battle back, right? So once it broke 100, SSR came back, bumped it up 80 cents or so. Then we shorted it, and this was, for me, the biggest trade. Short 101, about, I think it was 175 cents. Our best outs down here at 96. But again, we weren't super confident in that. We were confident in the play, but we had enough shares basically to sort of like make it back. Then we had this again, little choppy here. We're back in it. So Palantir is going to be a green stock. I just don't want to say it because we are in this position right now, kind of jinxing it. But at the end of the day, it's working short, down 7%. I think Alex Karp and all, scared everybody a little bit, obviously, by saying he was going to change that stock selling plan. And, it's a 30-year-old company. So it's like this guy's been in there for probably, I don't know, 35 years, like, you know, the founder, right? So nothing wrong with right now making those billions of dollars and finally cashing out after he's printed many, many millionaires just by going long on the stock. So I don't hate him for doing anything like that. I think it's a wise move. And I'm glad he disclosed it. I mean, get that out of the way, right? I mean, the fact is that let's see what winds up happening. I'm not worried about the defense spending. I actually, over the lunch hour, bought some Big Bear AI, and I tweeted that out. So, you know, I like the space. I like everything that's happening here. So, yeah, I'm a fan of AI and data and everything. So, you know, take advantage of some of these dips and get in there and start buying is what I was doing. So, I'm in here. I tweeted it out. Whatever time I tweeted out is when I bought it. I think it was like around $7 or something. So anyways, Big Bear AI, my new position in Palantir, pretty good one now. Although it just battled all the way back, yeah, we got some more out there at the 50-period moving average.
I actually don't. So yesterday, it was really more about the defense thing than it was the, just in terms of the way, the timing of it and the acceleration seemed to have more to do with the defense spending. And I think it was the shock of the size of the amount that they're anticipating that they want to cut, if anything. Right? Like it was just like a reaction to that, and then maybe there was like some kind of cascade. You never really know when the algos decide to turn off liquidity, all kinds of craziness can happen. So like the algos get off the bid, and that's like half the market right there. So I'm not dissimilar in terms of looking for SSR bounces. It was a couple good early, but then did not get the best one. It's got a day-long, almost day-long trend now. From the volume bottom, it's been holding this line. And I anticipated it here, which was a bad decision and kind of got away with it, and then tried one again. And it's not breaking this trend. So just connect it from, this is a 3-minute chart, but just connect it from about 10 o'clock, and you've got all these higher lows. If it breaks that trend, you look for a short. It was also a trend break like this. Can I do that? Yeah, you know what? It's moved so much, there's nothing I can do about the scaling here, but it was a trend break like this as well when it rolled over, where it had the low of the day and then connecting with that bid here and then that bid there when it rolled over. That's the trend I'll look for, breaking in PLTR. It is, of course, SSR, so when you try to get the bid on the way down, it can be tricky, which sometimes makes it tempting to take it as it's going up.
It's
go. All right, guys. Nvidia next over here. It's not really flat. I mean, up 0.5% there, trying to break through up the highs. There was no specific headline on Nvidia today, but there was this little tidbit here. Elliott Investment Management taking a short position on Nvidia. It wasn't disclosed the duration or the quantum, but they did pick up some puts here on Nvidia. So we'll keep an eye out on that, guys. Having trouble breaking through 140.
Nvidia.
Yeah, true, but Nvidia is green today. The market's red. Like, it's relatively strong today. I'd say Nvidia is strong like bull. Like, it's not unity or anything, but double bottom off of yesterday's lows. That 139 break that when we were sort of talking about it when it happened here or didn't happen in the morning show, just before we had Brett Favre on, we're like, yeah, this might break out. It never did. Retested the low. It eventually did get the break. And no, it didn't get through 140. But now we're working into the final couple hours of the day, and I don't know, feels strong to me. I think it's going to break the 140. Maybe we get a shot at 139 again. But yeah, I like Nvidia for a long this afternoon. And we'll see what happens. Maybe it does break this one out. Otherwise, we wait for a 139 trade. I did have a little bit of a cheeky, what am I doing in the middle of nowhere entry in and out of Nvidia. But other than that, it's been 139 break, and right now it's setting up 140 as we speak. I mean, Nvidia is an example of a stock that has rebounded heavily after a little bit of panic and is now consolidating, looking fine again over the 50-period moving average for now. So you get back into the bullish sentiment, especially in a red market, man. Anytime Nvidia is green on a red day, gotta like it in the afternoon.
Yeah, Nvidia is the best stock. So I made, and again, we made a decent amount back here. Just kept on not breaking 140. We just kept buying. So we bought 50s, we bought 40s, we bought 40s again. Eventually it broke down, but this was a really great opportunity there to buy Nvidia. So we did that up 0.5 point today. I like it. I'm just not sure if I want to break the 140. I'm debating it. I would much rather play this dip into 60s. So if that does happen, I'm all over that for Nvidia as the future's trying to go back up. Oh yeah, and I bought some more S&P 500 over the lunch hour as well. But that's not exciting for me to tell you guys, but we did do that. So there it goes. Nvidia. I don't know. I'd like to see it get a little more juice up here. We had some nice stop spots at 140 earlier, so not super convinced that this is the runner that we think it is, but I am buying dips. If we can hold this level here, 139.45, I am all about that base.
No trouble.
Like that. SMCI, not much of a headline today. It sold off aggressively into the close yesterday, starting at 3 o'clock. You can see that a couple of red candles there, really taking it to the lows, giving back most of yesterday's gains. Today, it's kind of flat right now, marginally green, 0.03%. I know Sean was involved in this one. Obi was involved in this one. What's the look right now, boys?
Is basically the only green name pretty much around here. We smoked SMCI. This is part of the reason why, if we didn't, like, why we're back in the game here today. Yeah, it was just a great trade. So we wrote down 60.50, right? That came in at 12 o'clock, but it didn't last for very long. So when it broke, we got out. So we got out of that trade there at 60.50. And then we just let it go to the upside. And I was like, you know what, 62.50. Then we had some kind of exhaustion candle right there, which made me want to short that again. But the idea here is to take small cuts and big winners. This is how trading works. This is how it's supposed to work. Small cuts, big winners. You don't trade. We hear this all the time. You don't trade, you know. Anyways, everyone can trade how they want, but like I haven't really seen a successful trader, even back when I was doing it, where you trade like 15 names in a day, because at the end of the day, you look at Obi. Obi will be P&L number 1 here today, so congrats to Obi. The idea is that he traded one name. And I just think that like SMCI, if I had just looked at even just all the names on here, which I pretty much have. I traded Walmart, Tesla, SMCI, Palantir, Nvidia today, that's it, and Alibaba. So I'm happy with the names I traded, but ultimately this is what trading is about, is trying to anchor yourself to a name, take small hits when it doesn't work, but then have faith in yourself that when it does work, you can make trades like this. So that's what we're here for, man. Like I said, SMCI is the number 1 P&L name on the day, and you saw Obi traded. He held to hold it a point and a half against him. I can't do that, but that was good. We just basically top ticked it twice, and nice move to the downside. It's a big stock. I'll leave it at that.
I actually had a long up there on SMCI, and I think maybe the exit was exactly the place that you got short. I think. Let me just check let's see. 40, 62, it's hard to tell. I have to check the execution, but like it's somewhere in here. Like it was holding trend. I was short on this one, then it bounced off the trend line. And when it bounced the second time, I'm like, well, that's kind of strong. So I actually got out break even. And then when it broke the high, I just started playing the long trend. And every time it looked like it was about to break, I'm like, we'll just hold it until it breaks the trend. And then it broke the trend right in there at 62 change, like whatever you want to call that, 62.20 or so. Tried another shot at it off this little bit of a wick. I like taking those types of shots. I'm a setup type trader. I actually will. I'll conversely say this: in my 20 years, I consistently have traded multiple stocks, and I think sometimes 6, 7, 8. There's a difference between being in 4 or 5 stocks and trading a bunch of names. Like I don't think I've been in more than a couple at a time today, but have traded at least half a dozen. And I think it depends on your style. I know one guy who would be in 5, 6, 7 at a time, but he used basket orders, and that's a very, very different strategy, I would say, than trying to focus on one another. But if you're taking like a mean reversion, like very binary style trade, you go from one, and then you find the next one that's setting up, and then you find the next one that's setting up, which is a bit of a thing. But SMCI, don't lose sight of the fact that they have to report by next week. Tuesday is the deadline. And it just seems like it made a very nice reversal today. It's kind of a weird candle yesterday, but it's still ultimately going to be an inside day. I think there's a lot of risk in this name going into the end of the week, because you got to ask yourself, when it's been, what is that, a triple? It's a double from earlier in the week, but if you look at it from some of these lows, that's more than it's more than a triple from the bottoms in November, and it's like up 250% from like the February low. There's probably some people that are going to want to take some risk off with the actual report coming out in theory, next week.
All right, guys, Walmart next on the list over here, down aggressively about 6 1/3%, despite the fact that they beat on the top and bottom line. They guided above expectations for full year 2025. Believe it or not, it was full year 2026, especially the first quarter of 26 that sent this thing down 6 1/3%. That's the disappointing part here, guys. I don't know. I feel like this is a buying opportunity, trading below $100.
Yeah, I mean, I never thought it would get to 95. Again, we went in and out of Walmart and we're flat on the trade. It really hasn't done anything today at all. So, I'm not like, we tried it right there. It was a pretty good trade. And then you kind of, I moved off of it once it broke. Like once it didn't continue there, I always had to stop it. And, you know, like I was saying, if you're going to trade stock, you want your winners to be huge and your winners and your losers to be small. So that was trying to go and then it faded out. So we are flat on the stock today. So yeah, there it goes. And to the other point, like I really think that I trade multiple stocks amazingly. I mean, I just don't think, I think at this market though, very, very difficult because like when you have to focus, like Palantir, for example, if I was in too many positions, which I pretty much am, I'm in 3, but I don't have that many shares left on Tesla. So I think you just need to focus where, you know, the strength is in everybody's own game, and then you'll just be able to figure it out from there. Like Palantir came down to the 50-period moving average, so we're able to take something out there at 103.90. Look at this pop back up. You know what I mean? So that's kind of the thing. SMCI, again, same kind of a thing, bouncing off the 200 period here at 60. There's just so much movement in these names. You could, at a blink of an eye, all of a sudden it's like, whoa, where did this stock even come from? But again, all right, so Walmart, I just said my piece. It's been doing absolutely nothing. I would think it's a buy there at 95. Been holding okay today. I would have thought with the market battling back here, though, that Walmart would have battled back as well, and it didn't. So that's a little bit of a pause for concern, but I'm not that concerned.
I would say, you know what, let me get this up on a weekly for Walmart, on a higher time frame. Like the 50 period came in, if you were a buyer of it already, I mean, like I bought the 50 period the last time, and after earnings, I usually like to wait a little bit, so I might wait a little bit, but I want to DCA into this year. That's not a, oh yeah, this is a weekly chart. For a second there, what is going on with my E-signal chart? Where'd it go? Okay, there it is. Yeah, I got a weekly chart here up on Walmart. Let's just pull all the way over. Like this has obviously been on one. So I don't think it would be crazy if this got a little bit deeper of a pullback. Like it wouldn't surprise me if Walmart ended up, you know, retracing back into like the 80 level or something along those lines. It trades over 30 times. I think it's a good company, deserves a premium, so why not? But this is one that I'm expecting to be DCAing into this year. Like it's been really good in my portfolio, but I've decided that I'm trying to get rid of some other things. Like if I'm going to own some individual stocks, like this is one I want, maybe offset some of the tech. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if we actually were to go lower on Walmart, but that would just be a buying opportunity as far as I'm concerned. I'm not going to trade it this afternoon. I don't really think it's got the movement on it as a day trade, but I think it could have a bit of a ways to go, which to me, sometimes that's a really good thing because it allows you to DCA in this year.
Cruise lines getting hit, doesn't matter which one, CCL, RCL, NCLH, they're all down aggressively. This is RCL here, down over 8%. Looks as if the Trump administration, specifically Howard Lutnick, the Commerce Secretary, looking at coming after these cruise lines, accusing them, guys, of not paying tax. Word for word says that's going to change.
Yeah, I mean, in the moment, you got to take everything at least somewhat seriously, right? But look, there was a point in the morning show when it seemed like there was going to be, all the volatility was going to be wrapped up in Palantir. And by the time we noticed CCL had moved to the downside on that news, it was making a huge volume bottom. It's just a huge one. It ended up not being the right moment to go long, ended up with essentially paying fees on the trade, on a punch long. If we come to the chart for a second, like it just bled right away off the open on that story. Made the bottoming tail wick on a huge volume. Usually you want that to be a reversal. Didn't even get a great price on the bounce. Was able to make it essentially a flat trade, but then it did double bottom for those out there, giving you a bit of a move well past VWAP, only down 5%. Concerned though, if there's juice to this story, it just lost a 50 period on the daily. So yes, it has bounced today, but that's not where I'd be leaning to tomorrow. Like I'd be thinking continuation tomorrow after this little breakdown off the 50 period. You were consolidated there for a while with some sellers at 26, get a piece of bad news, now all of a sudden 25 flat bottom break. Maybe even if it gets to 25 this afternoon, could be a little bit of a fade play, and I'd be inclined to look a little bit more southbound on this in the next couple of days, or at least tomorrow, and then you see what happens next week. I really only looked at CCL. I'm assuming probably other charts look similar. CCL is just usually the best trading vehicle for the cruise lines, at least in our experience. It does the really good volume, best price action, typically speaking. But yeah, not a very good breakdown on that headline. And you just don't want to have, sometimes you just don't want the sights to be on you. It's that simple. Like you don't want to see that red dot. And right now, as of this morning, the cruise name's got the red dot on them, and it's hard to look for strength in a situation like that. And they had been on such a good run, all of them, like RCL, NCLH, like all of them had been so good. GameStop doesn't have any sights on it. It's outside of the fact that there was a story on GameStop earlier this week. They were selling their some of their Canadian interests. I don't know, Quebec stores and all that stuff. That's not going to matter too much. It was kind of a random, nonsensical move to the upside. That Head and Shoulders, we shorted 27, then we shorted 27.10. We're looking for a VWAP retracement here in GameStop. That's the only thing I'm in right now. Palantir's still trying to hold that trend line from the entire day. Nvidia is still not breaking 140. So Nvidia, it's right at 142. Like it's just 140 on a dime is the high, or sorry, on a penny. On the penny is the high of the day. If we can break that, I still like its strength.
Somebody up here, I forget who it was, One Hustle or something, asked what was the biggest trade of the day on the channel. I just put in there, you have to let me know if you mean like money made or percentage like move down, like, because we don't really look at like percentages move down. It's more just like how much was made on the individual trade itself, because we don't disclose share size, right? And so it's kind of like misleading just to tell you what's going on. But I can tell you right now, the SMCI trade that Obi had was the P&L number one. Obi is P&L one on the show today. And the thing is that right here, this for me was the biggest trade. Just these two reloads up here at 62.45. So this is the biggest, this for me is the biggest P&L name. Oh, this guy's coming on? Okay, great. All right. Yeah, whenever you're ready, let's bring on the kid on. I want to talk to this guy. Okay.
He's always ready.
Ramin goes, Rader Trader's ready when you are.
That's what I heard.
So then I say we're ready to bring him on. Yo, what's up, Rader?
Are you ready or what?
Today,
someone said in chat that you're having your flu game.
Yo, did you get a haircut or what? What's going on?
Looks a little.
Actually, I just got home from the gym, so
nice.
Kind of a sweat due right now.
Let me see that shirt you got on there. What are you doing over there, Rader? Wrong
other
side, my guy.
Other side, dude.
Oh, yeah, there it is. Yeah. The Rader report. How's the Rader report going?
Who is that?
I don't know who that is.
How's the Rader report going, man?
It's good.
Good.
Really, I mean, the Rader report is in human form, this guy. So we've got some things to talk about. So.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I was trying to plug your Radar report here, but that's okay. We don't have to do that.
Change the subject.
All right, let's change the subject. All right. So, are you a big hockey fan or what?
I honestly just watched the USA Canada for the boxing matches, but
perfect.
Yeah, that was a really good game.
Yeah. So watch tonight. Tonight's going to be the largest watched hockey game maybe in the history of hockey. So get ready for that one.
I wonder how many rounds are going to go. It's basically.
I don't think there'll be any fight. I don't think there'll be any fights. I don't think so. But we'll see. There was only. Yeah. You know what? Fighting in hockey is actually down. I think it's like 98%.
It's all-time lows.
Yeah. There's almost.
Especially when there's a lot at stake. No one's going to want it. It's not.
From a player perspective, it's pretty stupid. Like, why would you waste? Yeah.
Exactly. We'll let the UFC guys just kill themselves and get concussed. We had Brett Favre on today, actually.
Well, that was
which was huge, right? I still can't believe UFC and boxing is for me, especially knowing all these things. Anyways, all right. So what is on your mind right now? What are some of the things you're looking at? We've had a nice move down today. We had some abolish the IRS talk today. We had various issues happening. And right now, Rader, I don't mean to interrupt you right now, but we're almost in another dollar right now as Palantir goes all the way to the downside. So despite flu game strong, we continue to put up these numbers here today. Do you want to talk about Palantir a little bit here, Rader, and let's get back on track with some stocks. We did have a huge move down yesterday in Palantir. Obviously, it was like island up pretty much the whole time. If we come over here, who's over there, Ramin? There it is, 125, just absolutely rifled up there. And then yesterday, basically, I've traded a lot today. Yesterday around 3 o'clock, we had that move down as worries start happening about defense spending. Any takes here on Palantir, or is this a name that's maybe not on your radar? Your radar
it's
report.
Definitely a name that I'm not trading personally. Again, from an options perspective, some guy who's looking for mostly option positions. You pay too much, you're going to pay an arm and a leg for, the expected move is going to be huge, and you need to get that or you're not going to get paid. So something like Palantir, both ways, I just don't have an edge in it, so I'm not trading it. But as far as the rest of the market, technology, this is going to be a great segue. The markets we talked about last time. Tuesday was the start of Max Payne. What we expected was some sort of smaller bounce up, but ultimately 2 days, Thursday and Friday, would be the selling pressure into the major Opex. And of course, these are going to be some of the major concepts we talk about today, along with some trade ideas I have, and some big calls, I gotta say, moving forward for the next 3-4 months that you guys can get involved with. So.
Did you want to update us? I haven't been following. The last time you were on, you're doing that mumbling stuff, and you were talking about robotics. Did you want? Yeah. No. I'm not trying to troll. I have no idea what it's been doing, the robotics trade at all. But I know you were pretty confident about that one. Has it worked out? Has something in the thesis changed? I have not been following it. I just know it's been something that you were looking at. So my ignorance is everyone else's bliss. So how is the robotics trade been working out, and has anything changed?
Actually, believe it or not, a lot of the robotic names really missed earnings. Now, you can look at this and go, oh, well, the idea is completely trash, or you can just look at it and say, well, we mistimed it. Well, this was a theme that, from an options perspective, I kind of clamped some ideas down with leaps. From a share perspective, you can hold a lot longer. But as far as the robotics trade, it's still a major theme. It is still on the table. I think that it will get a lot of boost into late March. Again, going back to the seasonal period that you guys should all know, which is, if you want to look at my screen right now, this right here is the seasonal chart for, of course, the next few weeks. And of course, we've been talking about that, hey, after into Opex of February, this is where we're seeing a lot of mechanical changes in how the market behaves. You're seeing price action, right? Change in how it behaves, what it does, what it favors, new regimes, what we call it, different sectors performing different ways. Look at healthcare, green when the market's red. That's a very different story than what we've seen over the last few weeks post-election, or last few months. So this is a dynamic time for when markets begin to change. And towards that end of March period, if you do get a harsher sell-off, that's typically the better sign that you will see a bigger rebound in these robotics, more speculative names, and things like that, get a rotation into them. But as of now, no, I have not reassessed the robotics, but I still think it's going to be a theme this year into 2026.
Andrew, speaking of themes, there's a certain ETF, and let's see if we'll play the guessing game in here. It recently made a 52-week high, was a double top, may or may not have stood to benefit from the new administration and maybe less regulation in its sector. And because of everything else that was tanking in the yesterday in the afternoon and today, until I think Sean brought it up this morning, nobody even noticed how heavily some of the individual names in itself had fallen. Can you guess what ETF I want to ask you about? What sector? Understanding that I don't know if I've made it obvious enough.
Banks.
Well played, sir. Well played. I put you on the spot and you're still able to get it. Yeah, look, XLF, that's a theme that's been working. But well played. I actually wasn't sure if I'm like, is he going to be able to get this one? Did I make it obvious?
No, I'll get it, Neil. We're on the same wavelength here. So.
Oh, well, see, next time you come on, I'm going to do the same thing. And the goal isn't going to be to make it fun where you do guess it. It's going to be it's going to be to stump you. But no, seriously, what are your thoughts on XLF here? Because it was a hefty pullback. Individual names went further than this. JPM had a pretty rough morning, a rough day, I should say, and so did Morgan Stanley. They'd been cruising to the highs. How do you feel about it in general? Don't want to put words in your mouth.
So yeah, this was actually my biggest trade this week was MS puts. They're up around 800% I got today from around 65 cents. 98 cents is when I added most of my size into almost over, $7, nearly $6. So one of my biggest trades of today. But what of the week in general? But we talked about this last time, and I mentioned that banks did not make a new high when the overall markets did. And this is a classic warning shot. And I said this, that whenever you see this, you have to pay attention because the bank's not making a new high. Technically, when you're in this condition, when the markets do make a new all-time high, that's something you have to be concerned of. And so typically what happens is not only will banks lead the sell-off, but banks will also kind of give that early sign of the sell-off coming. So MS was that. If you look at Goldman Sachs as well, we're seeing the biggest red days in banks since August, which was the beginning of this recent expansion. And so we really have to look at that and go, look what's happening underneath of the hood of the market. I always talk about this with options, and you guys should know this, but we kind of talked about, if you want to just share my screen real quick, this image. Remember last week we kind of talked about the Opex cycles, and I mentioned to you guys that Tuesday was the start of max pain. Well, when you get to something like, this week, of course, with the banks starting to sell off, this is that max pain, that into Opex, you expect dealers who are holding all these shares, these puts lost all these values, all their value. You're coming into an expiration, they're hedging all these calls, they have all these shares, they need to offload them and get back to neutral. And they're going to start selling a lot of shares. And underneath the hood of the market, we have not seen as many supportive flows as we've gotten since the beginning of 2024, when we saw a lot of action, a lot of expansion. Since December 20th, we have been in a very illiquid market as far as the S&P, just sitting in a range, doing absolutely nothing. And you can see that literally since the 20th. What typically happens after Opex is when all those puts expire, you free the option chain up for markets to now drop. Look at each expiration past the 17th. Immediately after, just 1 or 2, 3 days after, you start to sell off with more volatility spike. After the 20th, you saw a few days after, huge volatility spike. And so what I expect into this expiration is a few days after, continued volatility spikes. You guys have to understand that while the markets haven't picked a direction, you need to be, as a trader, trying to, front run this a little bit and say, look, the volatility is about to spike. I need to start maybe not selling all my calls, but I need to start positioning out or being smart in what I position in instead of buying the leaders of a trend. Let me go look at the most beaten down names for the recovery bounce because those will be the better names to trade. And of course, I got some tickers before I sign off today that I will give you guys some trades on for those ideas. But banks was my biggest trade this week. And again, just a classic sign from a technical perspective, nothing complex, that banks did not make a new high while the overall markets did.
And so just to maybe expand on that just for a quick second, because Morgan's moved from the high to the 50 period in a single day just now. So that's obviously a pretty clean move. What are your thoughts maybe going forward for that? Like, are you extending this, or do you want to take another leg in? Like, what are your thoughts? Because from a technical standpoint, it seems like it could be a pretty good pullback here, especially if it loses the next level of support. I'm just talking about the banks in general before you get into what could be some trend breaks. And I'm curious if you're going to say anything about solar, but we'll get to that.
Yeah, so absolutely. So how I typically trade these is one of the biggest advice is don't enter after a big candle. No matter what you do, whether it's to the upside, to the downside, if you're entering after a big candle, it's often not going to go well with you because what you're doing is you're stepping on where, when the stock extends beyond its deviation, the mathematical probability of it retracing or coming back towards that deviation level is higher. So when you see such a big candle, it just never goes well. You're taking unnecessary risk. So in the case of MS, I've actually sold most of my contracts for the 21st and the 28th. I will be holding my 28th contracts for some sort of bounce, and I won't add until we see some sort of new low. So of course, I do expect some sort of bounce. That's how most of these things do, especially banks. They're well watched liquid ETFs, and so when you see a lot of them have these big dip buys, you often see somewhat of rebound. But overall with that, you'd expect some sort of consolidation, some sort of move higher tomorrow, and then ultimately a flush down and continuation down in through Opex into next week.
Okay, it makes sound advice. And we always talk about this for extreme day, whether it could be earnings, it could be an event, it doesn't really matter what it is. There's that cooling off period. It's usually the worst time. I shouldn't say the worst time, but it's usually not the best time to get like overly aggressive in the move because you will get that sort of settle down, cool down period. So talking about names that are trying to catch up. So if you're mentioning banks and you're talking about those highs and didn't make the fresh highs when the market did, okay, well, what are the laggards that are trying to catch some bids? And hopefully you don't say Nicola because there ain't going to be a Nicola after. Actually, they might not last a week. I joke, of course. Of course, you wouldn't have mentioned Nicola. But what are the laggards you're looking at?
So the best stocks, I think, moving forward over the next 20 years is GameStop and AMC. No, I'm kidding. As far as the the laggards that I'm going to be trading, home builders, DHI and PHM. I think these two names selectively are going to be great dip buy opportunities. Oh, yeah. You're coming through a period of heavy selling, but you've had a big crush in volatility. I would recommend to all of you guys, and here's an easy trick. If you want to play a bounce into tomorrow or some sort of play, some sort of reversal down, look for stocks with options imbalances. I will give one ticker, CMH. I'm not going to tell you which direction. That's for your own digging. But I will tell you guys CMH has an imbalance on it. And if you want to play a decent trade tomorrow, look for trades with option imbalances because into expiration, those are high priority for the market makers to correct because they're going to go back to neutral. And that means they're going to have to offload the imbalanced side to get back to neutral. So you're going to see things like CMH, like home builders, DHI, get that nice run up potentially into next week. But also for you guys, write this down. Say, you know what? Rader told me this. The dollar-related trades. XLE is one of my bigger positions this week that I had, swinging into next week, 228 calls. Well, that might be too short of an expiration. I believe within the next 3 months to 4 months, you will see energy make a new all-time high. XLE. I think that, of course, Buffett, he got a lot of criticism for entering Oxy and all this thing. Remember that Buffett is never good at timing, but he knows exactly what is going to do well in the near future. And I think, honestly, with how energy is setting up, relating to the dollar collapsing, it's going to provide a lot of relief. And we've seen that with gold, but also I think energy's time to shine is near. So XLE, and that kind of relates to your FSLR too as well. I think those kind of names might get a boost along the way. But as far as the dollar trades, look at those.
I didn't say FSLR. I just said solar. You said first solar, which you do usually want to try to pick the best of breed. XLE is actually doing pretty good. I think it's interesting you mentioned there's XLE. It's on the rebound already, higher lows. I think it's starting to work again.
Let's go Nvidia.
But DHI, that's a different story because I usually when I look at something like this, I want to, as a trader, for like looking at equity directly, I want to look for the actual like reversion of the trade. Like I want to see make the higher low, break the trend, like that sort of thing for a swing idea. Like how does it work for you? Like working into this because you've got from a support and resistance standpoint, you've got some room underneath that'd be really enticing if it were to make another leg down. You have an obvious, and I could draw a trend line. You have an obvious trend break, which would be. All it would take is a couple of days, and you could close above that. You got the 50 period out there. How do you structure a trade when it's in that bit of a downward trend to try to get out in front of it, or wait till it's happening?
Sure. So one thing you guys have to really understand, from my perspective, if you want to share my screen real quick, is what I'm looking at when you always want to enter a trade is number one, you have to understand momentum. Momentum is king in everything. Yeah, a lot of people say, oh, price action is king, but really momentum, because momentum carries a mechanical responsibility, a mechanical obligation from the markets. When you see a stock, sell off 10% in one day, that's 10 times its standard deviation. Let's say a stock normally trades 1% a day. If it sells off 10% in one day, it doesn't matter how good the fundamentals are. It doesn't matter how good the technical setup was. There is a mechanical change in the underlying of that stock that because you've moved 10 deviations or beyond the normal range, that has implications and consequences. Whether good or bad, it might instantly liquidate, and then you're going to have a period of extended, huge volatility or things like that. But there are mechanical changes that go down. So when you see something like DHI, what you notice here is this massive sell-off period. But then all of a sudden, what happened? Why from this big of a candle to all of a sudden these small green candles showing a lot of buying pressure? This could be a liquidation. And during liquidation phases, you have this max kind of capitulation point where everyone who wanted to sell got out And now you're having this crush of volatility. And now this is where market makers are really supportive of trend, because all the puts got crushed in that volatility. They lost value. And because market makers shorted shares to hedge puts, they're going to have to buy them back as they lose value. And so that's going to cause a supportive market for that upside rally. That's what happens every single time in a market bottom, by the way. And that's why tops are processes, bottoms are events. Bottoms happen so much quicker because when negative gamma, which is what you call a lot of puts on an area, loses a lot of value. When puts lose a lot of value, market makers are forced to buy back shares aggressively. In the upside, calls, it's not so much. When they start to buy shares to hedge calls, they actually sell shares as it starts to go up, so it creates kind of a trapped range. That's why tops are trapped, and bottoms are very expansionary, quick events. Specifically with DHI, the technical setup on this is what I call a market maker cycle. This is a structure that I found under my research along with my mentors, and they kind of pointed this out to me. It's a little bit related to Wyckoff. However, you have, if you guys don't know Wyckoff theory, distribution, accumulation, you kind of get a spring to one side, to the upside, and then you get a liquidation. On that max pain point, you get a rally that goes above that spring high. We can see this both on the macro, that you have some sort of channel here, you have a spring, you have this liquidation, now you can expect it to come up. And also on the smaller time frame, on the hourly, you can see that there is some sort of parallel here, liquidation, spring, now we expect this to climb higher. So DHI, PHM, these two tickers, ITB additionally, would be great names for long exposure into 228 calls.
All right, Andrew, thank you so much for your time here today. I just want to show everybody that when we're talking about the robotics name there, like ARC-KQ is the robotics ETF, and it's just still right here. So I still do believe in it. This is a name that I am also long, which is why I was asking you about it. So it was not anything to do with that. I mean, we all love your ideas. I mean, the chat absolutely loves every single thing that you've been giving. That one stock that you said to see the imbalance, that symbol was CNH or what? Because people can't find what the symbol you were talking about.
CMG, Chipotle.
Oh, CMG, yeah.
Chips con queso, yes.
You did say something else. I don't remember what you'd said, but people were searching to find what it was. So Chipotle there. You a bowl guy or a burrito guy? What are you getting?
I'm not going to lie. Listen, I'm a 4 crunchy tacos guy. Listen,
Ooh.
4 carnitas tacos. Listen, I know it's unorthodox, going to Chipotle for tacos, but listen, they got a good crunch, and I like carnitas in between my chips.
I love the crunch. And we love having you on, Andrew. So thank you so much for coming through. They can find you at RaderTrader101, at RaderTrader on Instagram. The first one was on X. All the bumpers at the bottom there. So go find this guy. Cheer on your team tonight. We'll see if there's any boxing matches, as you called them. And we'll see you next week or tomorrow. I don't know if you're on the show tomorrow night or not, but we will see you then. We got some trading to discuss now. So thanks, Andrew.
Thank you, Andrew. Appreciate it.
All right. Well, while that was happening,
I knew it.
DMG.
No, I was one of those trying to search.
So you guys were talking about wanting to know where the big trades lie. They're right here. We just got out at 59 right there on SMCI for 3 and change. Palantir right now, I know it's a name that we were both in. Palantir just goes all the way up to 105. Well, while Andrew was on, oh, you're out of Palantir? Okay. We just covered down there at 103.80 and change for PLTR. So Palantir will actually wind up being a decent stock, but if it does break back above that, Nepa for your boy. Then, as he was going on right now as well, we also have Nvidia. I mean, I'm trading like this and feeling like crap, like I can't wait till I feel better. There goes Nvidia right now, another 30-cent winner on the board. So Nvidia now goes into the positive territory for us as well. So again, the day is great. The day was bad for me on Tesla. We put too much faith in this 354, 356 area that we thought was going to hold. It didn't, and we wound up losing. And to be honest with you, I told this to Neil, I didn't have I wound up losing $3. I thought I had a stop on this last trade right there, and I didn't. So by the time it came all the way back down, there wasn't much I could do. It's an excuse, but the excuses seem to be everywhere. So that is just one of those things where take full responsibility for it, but we did wind up doing that on Tesla, but we're making it back, man. I mean, this Nvidia is a great trade there. Palantir, although we will be red on it, I think Palantir is... I don't know what it is for you. I know see, and this is the thing when we talk about trading, right? Back and forth. Like SMCI is going to be a big stock, but it doesn't, everyone can trade it differently, right? Palantir, I've just been shorting, but realistically, if you've been going long, that's the right play. You know, and I mean, I know you were just short, I was short. Like, we're all fighting this trend up there. It's really foolish trading at the end of the day.
Well, it broke the trend as far as I'm concerned. Like yesterday, like this is the exact same trade from yesterday on SMCI. Well, I'm going to show you SMCI chart in a quick little second, but Palantir did the same thing too. It said if it broke the trend, I'm going to take the reversion short and I'm going to give it to the prior bar high, which is what we did. It breaks the high, we get out. It'll be my worst stock today. I was fighting it a little bit and definitely to the short side, but you try to make sure that, when you have a stock that you knew it was going to be one of the ones that you're going to be actively trading on. And to me, the two stocks, oddly enough, we haven't even, like Baba's actually back to VWAP. That's another thing. We didn't even talk about Alibaba. Alibaba was up 10% today and made another fresh high today.
Nvidia.
But the other thing about it is, we traded Alibaba a couple times off VWAP. It didn't move much, but we make more on that than we lose fighting in something else. And at the end of the day, that's what you want to try to be able to do. SMCI did a reversion in the afternoon. It was the same kind of thing in Palantir. So I feel like if I see a trend like that, like it's the all day long trend. If it trends out from the opening range and holds the same trend line, I want to take breaks of that trend line. Because those are the ones that give you the big reversions back into VWAP. Now, I don't like, if I get into it, I don't like holding it past the top. I always feel like you can get back into the trade a little bit later. And the other thing is, as we were talking to Andrew, GME bounced this time off of 80s and right back into 27 change. So basically the same kind of head and shoulders level, hasn't gone down to VWAP yet. Feel like if it doesn't break out that top at 27.20, just going to look for another fail of that lower high and then just go back into the short. I actually looked over just to see if there was like some sympathy stuff going on in anything like a AMC or oddly enough, now that it's been a good stock, I was going to go over and say, hey, did BlackBerry pop on that? Could it be a fade? And I noticed that the run on BlackBerry seems to be over as BlackBerry is down today, down 6 points. Maybe this is the beginning of that. What a great run. It was up like 250% or 270% from the lows. I have a funny feeling that the 50-period moving average is in store in the next couple of days and weeks, which sits at 420. Any excuse to hit that today. BlackBerry, of course, being a Canadian company.
Okay, it's time. Look, you can scan that QR code on the screen right now. Unlock the nuclear renaissance with Foremost Clean Energy, leveraging one of the biggest mega trends on the planet. You guessed it, it's nuclear energy. Partnered with Denison Mines with properties strategically located in the Athabasca Basin, known as the Saudi Arabia of uranium. This undervalued company is poised to capitalize on the exploding nuclear market and offers unparalleled growth potential. The future is nuclear. Foremost is your entry on the NASDAQ under FMST and on the CSE as FAT, or go to foremostcleanenergy.com for details, or simply scan the QR code on your screen right now. We want to thank FMST, Foremost Clean Energy, for sponsoring this segment of the show. Okay. I mean, right now we're sitting on, so we're 250 in the money right now on SMCI. We are 250 in the money on Tesla, although Tesla makes this move back up. And this is what I was talking about like, if you're going to trade, you need to be watching pretty much everything, especially in these days. Like, if you're trading slower moving stocks, for sure, I think you can look at many. But like Tesla right there, like, again, like from 351 to 353, that's $2 straight up. Like, you cannot miss those opportunities. And of course, with Rader and all that kind of stuff, and again, just excuses, right? But I missed it. And so I'm happy that it came back and we were able to get out. I was just going to say, like, we missed it, but we didn't. So we just get it right there. Take another piece out of that one. So look, man, Nvidia will go rocketing up right now, again, up the stage. We just got out. Remember I said, so again, we talk about real life lessons. We talk about, and by the way, I hope everyone went to go see all our videos, man. We're getting great feedback about the RSI, the SMA, all these videos. We're dropping more. Thank you for all the feedback. But what I mentioned earlier was, I was waiting for this drop down for Nvidia to come into this area, and when it did, like, I just put my bid there. And when it did, it filled in. Now, I was nervous because it looks like it was going to break 50. I went long at 50. It did break 50. I got a 10% there. At the end of the day, rips back up, and look what it's having problems with. So with that being said, I'm going to put another offer. Just went back. Okay, now I'm going to show you the level 2 because I'm just offering out right now. So now it's having a problem with 140 again. So I just punched them out at 92 there because my offer at 95 did not get filled. So I'm still there at 95, understanding that there is support and resistance at these levels. I try to keep it as simple as possible. Nvidia right now will be P&L number 2 for the show. And that's just on these very, very simple trades. So there it goes right there. So P&L number 1 will be SMCI. We talked about that. And then it'll be Obi's big stock. It'll be my number 1 stock. And then Nvidia will be the number 2 stock. So there it goes right now. I'm going to put another offer. I'm going to cancel my 95s. I just took a 92. And again, it's just about being like comfortable with what you're looking at. Like if this breaks 140, I want to be able to hold something, but I'm now out of half. And now that it's resisting again, I'm going to get out of an, okay, well, I just punched some 90s. I'm going to get out of another little piece right here as we continue to go. So let's see what happens with Nvidia. All these pieces I'm getting out are 5%, right? And I think Neil and I do a good job of explaining like how our fee structure works. So like I've made a lot of trades today. And you know, like I have on Palantir, I actually, I don't have my specific fees. I have 129 fills, right? But like I also have 50 fills on SMCI, I have 60 fills on Nvidia, but if you just take them all as ideas, like you don't need to be taking them out like this. What I'm getting at, like, and my fees today are like $30. And the idea is that every time I'm offering out, not every time, like there I just punched 90s, a lot of the times you're getting filled, and once it runs into you and you're adding liquidity, you get paid to do that, right? And so those are things to consider.
Depending on gateway.
Depending on gateway, yeah. So, I guess I got.
I use like.
I guess I got out of. Yeah. Well, of course, that's what I'm saying. We do a good job of explaining what it is. But for the stocks that I'm trading, because they move so fast and there's so much interest in them, I try never to use the free gateways. I actually didn't realize I got out of everything on Tesla. I did not mean to do that, but I did. So unfortunately, like I said, a little bit in the cloud still, but that I should have kept some for VWAP as it's breaking now. So we did get out of everything there. That was my mistake. I should still be in that name. SMCI, now that it's up here, like I said, this cannot be a losing stock, obviously, because we don't have very much left. But I'm going to take an opportunity. See, I'm bidding 98s right now. So I'm part of this group. Did I just get that? Yes. So once it breaks through, let's just say I was NASDAQ. I don't even remember what I was on. I'm going to get paid to get that fill. You know, like there would be no reason for me to sit on like a BYX or an inverted gateway. It's moving so fast. But if you were on a stock like maybe even, I'm going to say Intel, but that was probably pre these crazy moves.
Yeah, it moves now a little.
Yeah, like it moves now, but like, see, you don't want to battle with all these guys in line. So if you just go down here with EAB, or there's not even a BYX, then you'll basically be first in line and you'll get filled. So there are reasons to use those gateways on specific platforms. Okay.
I find stocks with a spread, if you're looking to get in on the mid. So like, what's a good example of that? I don't know. Like just say like a Starbucks or just something that doesn't have a 1 cent spread usually. I find if you're trying to get in like at the 5-6 cent spread, putting it in the mid, using the free one so that you're not hitting the bid, but it's a gateway where you're paying to get in, but somebody else is getting paid to hit you. If you kind of go in the middle on one of those, it's usually a good fill. But I got two things. I'm going to get to GameStop, and then I want to answer Mark's question here, or at least comment on what you just said, Mark, right in here. But GME, we reloaded it a third time. If you come to the chart, reloaded a third time after getting the move down in 26.10, but it broke the prior high, which is my out. It's that simple, right? So we reload it, we get out there. Just always want to make sure, don't turn it into like a mess or whatever. Like, the idea being like try to hold your winners and try to keep the losses tight. But there is a point. Use Quest Trade, no fees at all. So when we're describing here at a prop firm, when we're describing our fees, remember we're trading firm capital. With obviously we still have direct market access, but our fees are not going to be comparable to usually what you guys are talking about. Like we're trading with almost zero of pass-through fees. We'll pay like SEC fee, that kind of thing. We're talking specifically about the fee rebate, where you add or remove liquidity on individual orders. That's essentially what we're talking about here. not necessarily like your per trade feed where there are none. Intel, which Sean just mentioned, is on an absolute tear. And I'm glad you brought that up because I actually, like when this broke VWAP, I wasn't paying attention to it because I was going to look to short VWAP and didn't. Now all of a sudden this looks obviously a heck of a lot different here on Intel. It did work off VWAP, but now obviously this one's going. It's right above prior close. It just went green. I think this is a buy the dip situation in Intel because that is one heck of a reversal. And look where it bounced. 200 period moving average. All of a sudden, after being allergic to it for a year, almost a year, it was April technically, so almost a year, Intel is now holding above its 200 period moving average after bouncing it today. And that is what I would call a bounce off that moving average. So I want to look for longs on Intel. First available dip, and we'll try to let it rip. Wow, I didn't, until Sean mentioned, he just said Intel because of, I think you're just using it as an example. And I saw this trend to the upside. Red to green for Intel. People like this stock now all of a sudden again.
Yeah, well, they found out that I bought it. Remember, I bought it at 1980. And then since then, it's been, not just joking around, but it has been hot fire since then. Okay, just real quickly here. Nvidia, I mean, I wish I could move stocks like that. That would be great. And possibly, it wouldn't be illegal, I guess, if I disclose my positions. But there it goes.
Does it all the time.
Yeah, exactly. It's fine. But anyways, that's not what's happening around here. At the end of the day, Nvidia, spin it. So what was already going to be a top stock here, Nvidia just makes it even that much more clean as it finally breaks through 140. We actually get a 140.20 fill right there. We actually might have did a little bit better than that as we went in. Wait a minute. I have the Hydration Nation thing here, don't I? Where's my hydrate? There it is. It's not a bad animation. That's a very old school animation right there. All right, so let's let that settle down. All right, we did get, SMCI is not doing much. I mean, we don't have very many shares left on this one, but SMCI is going. So I don't think it's coincidence. Like, we're barely down on Palantir. Tesla's a mess. Walmart's flat. Baba's flat. And that's all that I've traded. So I feel like that's the right plan. For me, I think it's a little bit different if you're on the midday with Sharif and he's trying to trade some of those movers that are just going crazy. Like you want to be in the mall, like he was battling with XLF and then wound up crushing it. Was it XLF? No, HLF. Yes, sorry. So he was battling with it on the. What's up? Was battling with it on the midday, and then eventually it started to go. When you're playing those small cap gappers and things like that, it is possible that you should be trading 10, 15 names probably because there's so many of them, and you never know which one's going to work out. But for me, the focus on just a few names has really, really paid off. And I mean, look, man, it would be a trophy day if we had just traded Tesla any better, but we had wound up losing on it. And when you're a big fish, or whale, I don't know, and you're swimming around, sometimes you get that harpoon, and that's going to happen to you. But if you're here to trade, then you're here to trade, and you come back the next day, and you come back stronger and tougher, and that's exactly what we did. I'm up more than double what I was when I was taking those hits. Like I made back more than double when we took those hits from Tesla till now. So it's just staying in your zone, right? Like and that's what I was going to say about Nvidia and SMCI. Like it's the two stocks that I'm in, and it's the two most profitable stocks today. So I think it's like trading in the zone with names that you focused on. Like I have no idea for Obi there. How he was holding that 1.5 against them. Like to me, that's big. But when you have that confidence, or I'll think of something. Well, I've already called him the Padawan. I did that 2 years ago, and he's the only one left. So there you go. Even when I'm not managing, I can pick the winners. At the end of the day, it's kind of like you gotta stay focused to what you're doing, right? And I mean, that's to me like as SMCI is not moving, you could see Nvidia's doing this. Now it's at 30s. I'm just going to take out like 1 or 2% every time as it goes up because I want to make sure I get something out. You see Bitcoin. I don't know what IBIT is.
To 99.
Oh, we just get that 30 by the way there on Tesla on Nvidia. like, look at this trend. You want to talk about the trend being your friend. Today, it's been a nice upside move. Right now, you are trying to battle with this 50-period moving average. The pink line is always going to be the 50-period for me. On a 1-minute chart, I like to see it as like you want to ride that trend, and when it breaks it, you kind of want to get out. But this is not an idea right now because it's not riding, like, right now it's just kind of doing nothing. It was more like while it's doing this, like if you got long on this 50-period break right there and you rode it all the way up, that's a good like 30 cents. You don't have to get out of all because you still have the VWAP support, which is there. Then you could ride it again, and then it finally breaks right there again. So that would be like 60 cents or so, and then now you're just kind of waiting, right? So for me, the next move here on IBIT is to take out this top. And then if it does, you can use 56 flat or so as your out. So I think that's a trade that I'm going to be looking at right now. I don't really know what crypto has anything to do with anything. Today, I haven't really been paying attention to the news as far as crypto is concerned, but if there is anything, then great. But for me right now, I almost feel like my earpiece isn't working. It is working, but I don't hear anything.
There was a small note. I think in Trump's comments.
Oh, okay,
he
yeah,
was
that's
signing
what I'm
some stuff
about.
yesterday, and then sort of reiterated his crypto stance. I don't think there was nothing new, but it was enough that like IBIT was gapped up, and Coinbase and MSTR, like all of those names that were bleeding, they were all gapped up this morning, made it onto the watch list because of that. So there definitely was some strength in those names. All right, so I just heard a name it's not moving.
Oh, you did? Okay, so I got to
yeah, well, you were just saying you didn't hear anything on the news. Well, I did hear this, but it's a CLVT, which if I hear news in the afternoon, my immediate reaction is to go over. But look at the pullback on INTC. Do not lose 25.60 here, because that's where I wanted to grab it. And it looks like it's going to lose that bid. You know what? You just said you didn't have a stop. Where's my stop? Sorry, 25.50, the prior high. Giving it to the 50 level, but I don't want to be averaging into this. And again, I'll zoom out for you. That's the triple bottom from yesterday. So this is where I want to see it hold on to 25.5 on Intel. And I just got green on the stock too. So we want to see if this one is going to make that hold. It went parabolic to the upside. It was red to green. Now it's back into the red, but it's the prior day low that is my out. I think I actually put my stop close. It's not the exact, but it's very, very close to 50. So you guys can probably guess what that is going to be. I still have my eyes on GameStop, even though we got out of it, because, well, that's kind of the top wick, and it's not doing anything after we got out. So I still like the short. I favor the short in this underneath that 27.20, but I'm going to need it to break down a little bit. And the other thing I'm now looking at finally is it does finally put in like a distinct, make a higher low where it's also made another fresh push up. So it could also break that trend. But Intel, as I said, yesterday's low is where I need to have that hold on to. If it bounces, I think that would be the place to get in because I'm in on the front side. And it's one of the things you were talking about with Obi. Like I got in the front side this morning on Intel, got stopped out, and then just jumped right back in. But there's a better way to do it, which is to just not get in on the front side of the move. Is to let it test the level, get to the level or test the level, which was pre-market lows, and then take the short off of that level. So get in before it even gets to 25.50, and then you're just holding it sort of against you with a stop. But if it bounces off that level, that's your confirmation where you want to be able to make the ad or get in general in the first place. So I have my scanners on to see what's moving here. And what's weird is up at the top, I actually see Walmart on my trade rate as the number 3, which I thought Walmart was doing absolutely nothing. So that's the plan of action on Intel. And Walmart had been sleepy, but I see it. Sometimes I wonder about the trade rate thing because I don't know why Walmart's popping up on it for me right now because it's not doing anything. Maybe I have to refresh it.
It's not popping up on mine.
It's number 4. It's number 4 on mine.
Yeah. It's because it's probably just more trades than normal happening on Walmart. It doesn't necessarily mean it's moving, right? It has nothing to do with
it. It's just the
frequency. It's trade rate, right? Exactly. Yeah. So,
and I know the filter that would probably work.
Yeah, exactly. So, all right. So you see Neil right there with Intel, and I'm having similar, although I was able to get it. I mean, he's short, I'm long, so it's not that similar. But sorry, no, we're both long. What am I talking about? So what I was getting at was. This just shows you the benefit of trying to at least scalp a little bit out as we go up, right? And so all of these levels, they don't look great as it keeps on ripping, but as this makes that move down, they start to look a little bit better. So this is like what I'm doing. I'm just trying to get out a little bit, massage some of these trades and go, but I still do like Intel to the long. There's been a lot of, yes, I am. So I've been buying some BBAI. I see people are going to be asking me about this because a lot of people like it. But yeah, so yes, for those of you asking, I have been buying some BBAI, and I just started today. So it's not like I've just been buying. I was waiting for this move down. You know, you guys know I was long Rigetti at $6 and sold it at $9 that same day in the personal account. And that was a great trade. And the reason why we did that $6 mark is it was right this day right there because it fell in to the 50-period moving average. And the very next day, there it was at 9. So I was just like, all right, we'll take 50% in a day because Quantum was getting crushed. We had that joker, what's his name? The Pharma Bro came out there and pretended like he knew stuff about Quantum. And then all of a sudden, everything fell down. And then it just went, wait a second, who is this guy? And it went all the way back up again. So we took advantage of that. And I was just waiting for something on BBAI. And so at the end of the day, this little bit of a dip is enough to get me started in it. So that's what we're doing. You know, it's not anything other than that. So kind of like a starter position on it. So yeah, I'm going to start to get, there we go. We got, oops, that's Nvidia. So we just got 98s there, out a little bit more. So sure, man, it's 50 cents in the money. And I'm going to continue to take a little bit out piece by piece as this name continues to battle. So right here, it's Nvidia. I still want to hold this for the end. Thank you, Sebastian. I am Magic. No. That would be Magic Johnson. There would be Magic. Pharma Bro. Yeah, you guys are right. All right. So anyways.
I'm calling him Pharma Boy.
Pharma Boy? No, Pharma Bro. Yeah.
No, I think I've been saying it wrong.
Oh, you call Pharma Boy? Yeah.
I think I've said that a few times.
I mean, I like shopping at Farm Boy. That's a great, that's like a Whole Foods here in Canada.
Legit.
I don't know if it's
I don't think
pretty much where I only try to go if I can.
Uh-oh,
all right. So look, I promise I'm going to focus more because I just want to watch for Nvidia. My stop now, because we don't have, honestly, I have like 15% left. I don't have any more offers. So hopefully that will continue to work for us. If it doesn't, I'm going to stop out at the 200-period moving average, which is 139.65. So let's just put that in right now for a winning trade. 139.65, 139.64. All right, we break through there out of 100% of that trade on Nvidia. So let's see if that one will come through. As I'm just making sure I have all my other stop orders good to go. I've done a bad job of looking at the chat for names. So now I'm here for that. So
I just saw, people were saying Microsoft's breaking VWAP.
I don't want to look at Microsoft.
It's
anything else?
It was actually, no, Microsoft was one of the biggest runners in the afternoon yesterday. Like when everything was, it was weird. Like when everything was going to crap, Microsoft was actually going up, which made it distinctly different. I actually thought that meant a good sign. I thought that was a good sign for Microsoft, but unfortunately, I think it's going to be a short-lived move. Unfortunately, it doesn't look like it's going to be a good one. We can in just a second, Ramin, because, oh, I see it already. There it is. The President's Day savings are still here, everybody. So you can get 22% off all new subscriptions of Trade Ideas with a code TraderTV22. Nice and easy, everybody. 22% off, TraderTV22. But wait, there is more. Upgrade to Premium Annual. And you can snag a massive 28% off with code, stop me if you've heard this, TraderTV28. That's right, huge savings happening now. Head to the 2025 President's Day sale landing page at Trade Ideas, link below, and do that pronto, everybody. Do not want to miss out. So check them out. Shout out to Trade Ideas over there. And just to finish the thought on Microsoft, what I was thinking that meant for Microsoft was Microsoft's good again. And what I don't want to see happen is it looked good. Can we come to the chart for a second? There we go. And it looked good again today. So if it goes red, that's a bit of a fail of that recent, what was looking like a break back toward like the 50 and the 200 period moving average. Instead, if I zoom in, why does 420 always end up a thing? It's a rejection of the local high at 420 and suddenly no longer looking relatively strong. So disappointment in Microsoft there. I like when stocks do trend reversals, and to me, outside of the Tesla's obviously Tesla, but out of the other traditional Mag 7, like the Tech Mag 7, Microsoft had been the one lagging. And had it been able to do a catch-up, I think there's a move available for Microsoft. And unfortunately, breakthrough or not in their, what's it called again? I forget. Whatever. It's in the watch list. I forget the name of their quantum computer thing.
Anaphylactic?
No, it's whatever. You can find the name of it. They have all these funky names. I thought it would get a little bit more juice. And I hate the fact that Microsoft is still languishing. I bought 2 things on that August 6th last year. Famously, one of them was great, and it was Meta, and the other one was Microsoft, and all I can think back to is it should have been Apple at 200. It was Apple, it was actually 196, and then Apple broke 200 that day, and you never really looked back. But, I tend to do that. I tend to take one that I'm like, this is going to be the parabolic good one, and then I'm like, well, what's got the safest bid under it? And then that's why I bought Microsoft that day. Which, by the way, when there's blood in the water and you're looking for things to buy, shouldn't be thinking about what has the best bid underneath it. Should be thinking about what can make the best recovery or the thing that you like the best to hold in the long term. It didn't make any sense that morning, but it was like you're scrambling in the morning preparing for the show, and I wanted to get some orders in my PA for market on open. So, I put maybe 10 minutes of thought into it, and I feel like it shouldn't have been softy.
All right. So Nvidia's pulling back. We already have our out. I said I'd look at the chat. Someone's mentioning SMR. So, look, we talk about nuclear and how we like these names. I'm in at this name low teens or even lower than that, but it's still feels stupid because we could have got this out a couple times up here near $30. Last time it waked up to that 28 and change. Probably a decent spot right there to think about getting something out, and we didn't do that. So SMR, I don't know, man. I'll buy more at the 200, but I think I'm going to just chill on this one for a minute. Yeah, 15 or so bucks right there.
Oh, it's not, okay, I thought you said there was.
No. Once it gets there, my guy. It might get there soon. We'll wait to see when and if, but for right now, it is what it is, as we always say. And SMR, if you didn't get out, you didn't get out, right? I almost feel like, again, I'm in Alibaba, and I'll probably exit Alibaba tonight. It's just a huge move up. It's another 10%. I like the stock, but honestly, I just rather be in different names right now. Ride it up, take profits. I don't want to sell. The thing is, I'm not selling any of my Meta, Nvidia. I don't really want to sell anything. I'd rather just maybe get rid of this BABA, take advantage of this huge move up, because like I said, on a weekly chart, this thing is just back to where it was, I think about a year and a half ago or so. That's Palantir. Don't worry about that chart. Here it is, Alibaba right now. And again, I like the name. I was in it much more than I am now, and this is just coming right back into this level again. We do have, this goes all the way back to 2018, so the climate has changed a lot, and especially when Alibaba is now talking about AI, and that's why I do believe, man, this fight strap on this jersey keeps getting stuck on the back. Okay, I should have mentioned that to Rader Trader.
Well,
but
they weren't necessarily made for sitting in an office chair.
Know about fight straps, but yeah. So at the end of the day, 145. I was just looking at this here. I don't think this is another SMR. I think there are things happening here with Alibaba. It's just such a huge move. So I really think that we just hit 52-week highs. Its 52-week low in April was $68. So it's a double up from almost exactly a double up from there. This looks like a profit-taking zone for me on Alibaba. I will probably exit stage left at the end of the day. All right. Microsoft, I'm not going to talk about that. Palantir, yeah. All right. You guys want to talk more about Palantir? All right. So there goes Nvidia. Props it up to following the plan. It worked out. We obviously don't top out as much as we had hoped, but it'll still stay there. It'll still be a top P&L name. And we'll just wait to see what happens now with it. As I'm thinking it could, now I'd almost play it to the short side. But you see what's happening here, the market. So it just really followed the market. So a bunch of good outs, and then finally out there, I told you we were only in 25% or so of it to begin with. So it wasn't like a Crimea River situation. Shout out to Justin Timberlake. But at the end of the day, we got out still for profit. Now it's going to bounce back, of course. The 200 period on the 1 minute, we probably, look at the futures, if it's not going to continue through that, then we could actually, this is what I normally do, right? Now we could go back long because we just saw that hold. But how many times have we gotten, and this is why you don't hold that many shares into here, how many times have we seen that, and then we go on and we show you guys 20 minutes later, 5 minutes later, the stock is like all the way down here, and then we praise ourselves for having those stops. So I'm not going to hate getting out right there. We probably could have used the 50 period more and the 200 for possible support. That could be something that we could have changed right there. But there's the out, as honest as we could be. I mean, I'm going to show you everything. That was that out there on the last. Let me do it. It wasn't even 20%. It was less than that. It was probably 17 or 18% or so of our last trade there. So at the end of the day, not a great out, as it's back up about 15 cents from where we got out, but you know, that's why we did that. So, all right, Robinhood. Okay, finally, a name that we really haven't looked at yet.
Just going with Bitcoin, I think. Bitcoin's still going.
Oh, shh.
Oh, just
I want to take Bitcoin long.
I bid. I think.
Yet.
Well, when you were talking about Robinhood just now, Robinhood just breaking VWAP, Bitcoin at the high of the day, right? Double top here, maybe even like a triple top chart, maybe even like a triple top up here on Bitcoin. And then there is Robinhood starting to get going, which is at a local, like that's the morning range, VWAP bounce, 56.5, holding above VWAP, looking pretty good. Robinhood, a little bit of a pullback after earnings. There's another stock which is holding on to a great trend. What's that, like a year? No, not really. Doesn't matter. Like half a year off of the 50 period, but reasonable pullback into prior support. And I think it looks like it's trying to make a bit of a reversion. It's not there yet. There's a little bit of a gap that it can pull in this morning. If Bitcoin breaks the high, sometimes you like these things that can sort of follow it up there. I think Robinhood looks a little bit, looks pretty interesting and pretty good. And there was a little bit of a conversation about PEs. And, you know, like Palantir, CrowdStrike came up because it's like 900. You always have to be careful with, like, say, a company that, like, maybe like recently turned a profit and then, you know, had a couple of dry runs where they had a couple of losses in there and they're just getting back to the profitability side. Sometimes you might care more about sales and revenue growth at that point. I think when you're looking at the cybersecurity names for a while, it really just matters more about their revenue because if you care about the PE of CrowdStrike, here, I'll pull down, stay on Robinhood. PEB what? I think it's actually on here somewhere. Do I have PE? No, I guess I have it on the information.
And their PE is not 900. Doesn't make
Crowd?
sense. Yeah, I don't think
so.
Yeah.
850. It was, They're down today. But it's, like, sometimes a snapshot of a quarter can be a little skewed, is the best way to think about it. Like, it can be extreme, and you want that revenue growth. I think it's going to matter more for them. The stock price has been absolutely fine. So Robinhood is breaking away. This is starting to go a little mean.
Its forward P is 100. So the thing about
but that's what I'm saying. Like it's
they had a lot of people drop their
current
business.
PE tends to be for a lot of stocks, and especially in that group, it's not necessarily a metric that many people are focused on. That's all I was trying to get at. That's all.
Yeah. Palantir is doing some work, boy. Good stock there.
Work.
All right. So new position alert. Now we have to discuss what we're doing with it. So IBIT breaks, we get 10s, so that's fine. There it goes, and let's just see. So for this one, it's 322 right now. We've been watching crypto a little bit. You know, we've turned our frown upside down big time today. I was thinking, like, our outs to be somewhere here. I don't want to Nvidia myself and get out at the 200 period, although I can't... Like Nvidia being my number 2 stock, I'm not going to sit here and be like, you know, but we could have still held on to that. It's okay though. It made me focus over here. All right, so quick little out. These are going to be 5 cents. It was only 5 cents in the money. 5% outs for us all the way up because right now there's only a certain amount of time left. I'm going to take some 16s. Okay, so we take some 16s there. Let's see if this continues to fly. At the end of the day, this is a trade that I gave everybody. The break of the high of the day on IBIT. It was a trade I liked. Everyone's going to trade things differently. And you can ask us in the chat if we're green or red on the day, anything about any specific symbols. We are open to that 100%. But this is a trade that I'm going to try to rock with here at the end of the day. I just think the 50-period moving average is just, it's not that far away. Like I could see this flush back in and then I get stopped out there. So for me, I told you guys that it wasn't really doing too much work with the 50-period moving average. So I'm not super excited about that play right there. So I'm going to have to wait on it a little bit to see if it comes through. That's why we went down there. So let's take a little bit off. We had to punch into that trade, right? So we pay fees for that. And right now it's starting to go a little bit to the upside here. So let's just wait to see what winds up happening here with IBIT. We don't necessarily want to get too caught up in it, but at the same time, we want to take profit where profit lies. So 56.20 we'll put another offer at. And if that gets filled, then great. And then we'll just start working on it from there. And hopefully we'll be able to have some success with Bitcoin and starting to go back up to the upside. So that's what we're doing right now. The stop is in. You just heard me about that. Yes, Green Hub. So I don't know what the heck is going on with B. Riley, okay? Like, we had many people on this show.
I asked about that last night, too.
Yeah, before. And we were looking at this, like, it was this shelf right there.
The CEO was supposed to be, or like the chairman or something was going to try to take them private, and then that never happened. And
so
I don't know.
The only, all these stories, like at the end of the day, like the chart is what the chart is. And I know you're stuck at $5. Now, you're going to like this next part. Green thumb or green hub? All right. So here's Benzinga. So what I do in here, this is what I do when I check out PEs and stuff. I look here. That's where I found the CrowdStrike PE was 100 forward PE. Still high, still high. But here's B. Riley, and this is what you're going to like, right? I think so anyways. I'm going to try to cheer you up. It's not that cheerful. B. Riley. Okay, and actually, this is, so I saw it somewhere else. It had a huge short float.
Hold on, same here.
So I'm not, maybe it doesn't, does it?
I see 55.
55,
I thought
okay.
It was huge.
Yeah, so it is huge. So this short float has not worked out for me on Benzinga Pro, but what is it? 55, yeah. So that's right. Yeah. So that's the number that I saw. So that was my sort of my keys to victory for you. Green Hub is that at least there is, I'll go back to Riley there for a second. I want to switch to Tesla.
Has 55 as well.
55, okay, so perfect. So I don't know why Benzinga only had that 3%, but at the end of the day, that could save this move is some kind of good news, right? Or something with 55% short, and it's only $3, I mean, that's not pause for concern. That could really send this stock going. So I can't, Neil and I don't sit here and we're not stock like prognosticators or anything. Like, it doesn't look good. Like, I mean, breaking below this 50-period moving average, bang, right there. Tried to break it, couldn't go. Wicked as high as $7. But again, you could look back and, like, if this goes from 3 to 5, I mean, that's a 60% move. So that could happen, and that could happen in one day. So I don't want to sit here and tell you what to do with your positions or anything like that, but I think this one does have a chance because of the short float. It wouldn't be as a long-term investment or anything like that. I just think you could get that break up. So at the end of the day, I just saw someone say that at the chat, so I said it. It's up to you to do what you want to do with your stock. I just think that holding on and waiting for a pump,
I'm always a little bit,
might not be the greatest idea.
No,
but
I've done this in the past.
Yeah, it's something to hold your hat on for now.
Yeah, it's just usually you want a catalyst, right? Like the shorts that look. Here's the reality. I don't know what's going on with it, but I promise you, there's a hedge fund out there that is making their year on B. Riley right now. And it's like, okay, well, what's going to scare them? Like, there needs to be a catalyst and a break higher that's going to scare them out of the ridiculous short. It's probably multiple firms. And I think that's sort of the other side of it, and they have unlimited. When those stocks go parabolic and squeeze names, like they have like just so much money to be able to continuously lean on it when the reverse splits or when it pops up, and they need to get shaken out. They can happen, but it's not an easy thing to do, and you need a catalyst to do it. So if there is something there, then you're waiting for a catalyst and you have an out, that's one thing. I just get really wary when you don't have any idea when the next catalyst will come and you're sitting in it. Always have an out in your trade. Speaking of, mine on Intel, we just bounced off that same low. Remember I said you get in before confirmation and it stinks. You wait for actual, then it holds the prior low. That's back here. Then it holds the prior low and then buy the dip in front of it. It's still in the same range. If it breaks top, I think 26. You would have heard Obi say Intel's had a supply zone in 26. Well, just look at yesterday. Resistance at $26. If it breaks the high, I think it runs into that and runs into trouble at that level. So Intel, we'll give it a bit of a shot. It's 328 already. There's, what is that? Invalid session.
Oh, I love Palantir so much.
There's not that much in terms of the early look on the imbalances. There is a chance there might be a big sell on Nicola. I don't know, but if there is one, remember they're going bankrupt, so we might take a shot at that as a penny stock. Right now, it's like early look, like CNQ, HAL, like nothing really standing out. BAC, grabs from the morning. BAC probably actually pretty volatile. Look out for the banks, because usually we don't care about when we see big numbers on the banks, but they had a huge move today to the downside. So it might be a little bit more interesting than it usually might be. Wow, Palantir is
the best.
That's linear. Look at how linear this move is. That's the best way to think about it. I used to have an old rule that should maybe come right back in. And this goes back to before Palantir started going meme crazy. When Palantir was going linear to the upside, you never wanted to short it until it made a parabolic up move from that linear move. And I think if you stuck to that, well, if I stuck to that, I'd be better off. And it used to do this all the time. I'm talking about before this last recent run. This is probably going back a little bit, but that is a linear move to the upside. It's almost like just straight program buying and relentless. 110 was that prior anchored VWAP. That's the big level on Palantir. It held it, or at least attempted to hold that level. It then failed it in the pre-market this morning. And anchored from their earnings. Sorry, 110 was the anchored VWAP. And shout out to Brian Shannon for mentioning that while it was going on. He tweeted it out. We were talking about it in the show last night. So if it gets to 110, I think that's a more reasonable spot. And then let it go parabolic into it as opposed to something else.
Yeah, we love Palantir. All right, so more outs there at 20. So we did get we got 21 or so, and then we got a 17, and now we're fading back a little bit. All I have out is 20%. So this could, what time is it, 3:30? All right, let's just use a break. So I'm going to cancel my stop and now just use this as a stop. So because we're out like a light if this breaks through. So that would be right there, 85 breaks. Let's put that in right now. 56, I mean, I feel like this is almost too much risk because oh no. Mother. All right, I got to get back in. Unfortunately, I put 56, 85. So punch me out immediately. All right. All right, so we just get right back in. So now we will put that stop back in. 55, 85. Okay. All right. So it doesn't matter. It's roughly the same price. We actually get out at 13s and buy back at 12s, I think. So, okay. A little bit there, but all right, whatever. Did not mean to get out there. It's going to look a little more choppy than it needs to be. I try to make this chart look clean right there. But I'm glad we were able to get back in because look what's happening now as we start to go back to the upside right there. I would have just... Like if I just threw my hands up there and was like, that's just horrible, then I wouldn't be back in. You got to sort of battle back from some of those plays when you put in the keystroke error, right?
Actually, D-Loaf just said it right here.
What?
He just said, D-Loaf right in the chat there. Sean, Katina, Neil Roberts, thanks for the advice when you guys often mention if you fat finger to get out or get back in. It plays both directions. If you don't mean to make a decision and you can immediately rectify it, don't hope. You know, like if you don't want to be in the position, get out of the position. If you didn't mean to punch out of the position, well, you just got it. Just get right back in.
Yeah.
The thing that messes a trader up.
That wasn't really a fat finger.
Well,
but
I know. Yeah. The thing was
keystroke error.
Keystroke error. That's the word. What sometimes messes people up. Let's say you're long, and I'll use IBIT as an example. Let's say you were long from earlier, like 55, and you accidentally get out. You meant to trail out or something or put an offer out, and you punch out, and you're like $1 in the money. You get out of all your position. What ends up happening, people are anchored to the price they got out in and won't punch right back in. But the truth is, if you're a day trader, it's the same thing. Like, yes, it won't show you long 56, right, but it's the same thing. And in your mind, in your brain, it's the same thing. And sometimes you just got to grip it and rip it and understand that, yeah, it doesn't show up as long 56 or whatever it is in your plot. It's going to show up as 57, but you also just took that profit. So sometimes... you just got to be able to make that decision. there still isn't this break. Like I said, Robinhood was going, and it was going, and Bitcoin did break the high, but Robinhood did not break the local high from earlier. So it's still, like you can see it here, it's like 56. I'm zoomed out because of Intel. It's like 56.60 right here, and it just doesn't seem to want to break out. We're running out of time for this move to happen, unfortunately, on Hood. Nice consolidation. Great call out, obviously, from everyone there in the chat that was saying it was moving, but there's no break of the high. Maybe there's one more shot at VWAP or something along those lines here for Robinhood.
All right, guys. Traders unite one more time. Finally. Look what just happened. All right, this is like an NFT worthy right there. Right into VWAP as planned. VWAP bounce, VWAP bounce. So, I mean, that's good. We have very, very small left now on SMCI. So that was just a runner right there. I don't know what's Bitcoin right now. Anyways, that was really good. All right, so IBIT. Oh, here we go. Ryan Cohen now involved with Alibaba, going long. Ryan Cohen.
Adding to it.
Yep, adding to it. I'm going long. I'll just do this quickly here. All right, so I just punched long there. Not a huge bunch of shares. I don't need to go.
150.
Yeah, I don't need to go crazy into this one. Sometimes you get these reports and it's just like, all right, they're just trying to garner some interest, but they don't really, okay, here it goes. They don't really need to do that on Alibaba, so I don't really know. I always try, whenever I hear Ryan Cohen in something, I mean, obviously I'm gonna try to get a little bit long, okay, here it goes. So breaking through 137, we're gone, here it goes. So I just heard, so he may already be adding to his position. Right? Maybe it's a little bit less shares than he had before. I have no idea, but we're long at 50s here. It looks like it'll be a 50-cent hit right now because it's not going any higher. It's going lower. But again, when was that news? There's the spike from here. So so it's going to break. Part of it is understanding where that story came from. So now that we've understood it and we can look and see where the charts are, maybe now we can trade this a little more properly and now try to play off some levels. So it just breaks 137 there. Maybe a little bit early on the breakout. So we'll buy a little bit more. With Ryan Cohen in the building now, does that mean I don't really know exactly what that story is. So I'm actually not.
He didn't own it before.
It's not going hard here at all, really. No. So this might just
You know what the other thing, too, is in
get
considering...
too excited here.
No, whatever. I made the punch. It's also Alibaba at 3:36 in the afternoon.
Yeah, but...
Like the Chinese 80... Look, when there's news, the news catalyst is a news catalyst, but I'm kind of giving it to this prior bar open close at 136.70, and I threw a stop in there. Oh, that's right. I had a stop from earlier, which in our system, we have we've talked about it before, there's a stop that you can use and it's like 100% or 50% or 27%, but you can only ever have one of those out at a time. So if I have one from an earlier trade, I have to cancel it, otherwise the other one doesn't accept. So I'm gonna stop underneath here and see if we can't get into VWAP. Look at the rejection of $138 at VWAP and in the morning. And then I go back to where was the reversal long this morning, Alibaba? It was at $138. So you think that's a level? At 138, I'm going to get some offers out in front of it. But usually you'll hear them repeat. So I'm listening in to see if they'll repeat that story or it'll come on the actual. There it is. Boosts his stake to $1 billion.
Right.
But from what?
Doesn't matter. The boost thing. No,
it's to $1 billion.
To $1 billion.
If you boost your stake from 900 to $1 billion, it's very different from boosting your stake from 200 million to $1 billion. But again, let's see if it can go. My stop is right in here, 136.70. This is vastly different from what it was doing. There we go. We just got out when it broke underneath that 70 level. The juice just doesn't seem to be there. And Baba was a good early trade, then a nice little VWAP bounce for a little bit. But each time I had it outside of the first move, it's could have traded it much better today. Baba's good, but the read could have been a heck of a lot better on Alibaba for most of the day. But that's always going to be true. I still like the move in Baba. I put some trails on some stuff today. I trailed Baba to 125. Oh, and I trailed Boeing today because you know what? I'm kind of sick of Boeing. I really don't have a better way to say it. There was some story about they need to be a I don't know, the administration wanted to be more tough on Boeing or whatever it was, something along those lines. I'm like, look, if it loses trend here, I'm just going to jump out. Like I bought back into this thing when it held the 50-period moving average, and it's been like moderately okay, which that's the best way that I can describe it. I just decided I don't really like this stock anymore, and why do I always try to figure ways to buy it in my long term? You can just not like it. You can just take the money and run and put it in something else, which I'll probably just put into a dollar cost average into the Qs or something, because that's what I usually do.
All right, everybody, the time is now. The first month is free. Scan. Nope. Wrong ad there, my guy. We'll do it after. Okay, so just real quickly here. We'll get going on that in a minute. So Alibaba does, oh no. So Alibaba did break a little bit there. I was gonna, 136.50 is what I put it at. I'm gonna go, again, we're not really playing with too many shares here, but it's still, we've lost on it. It's not like I'm, here to say that this, oops, sorry, my bad, I'm still on IBIT. Right here, Alibaba. We like the 200 period moving average, so that could be something down there at 136.15 or so. So I feel like comfortable maybe holding on to see if that winds up breaking. But at the end of the day, we're going to be fighting imbalances and things like that. Let me see what the Alibaba imbalance is, if anything, yet. There's nothing on here yet. So we'll wait to see. See that just levitated? It just went 50 to 70 like that? This is why it's very, very tough to trade with bigger shares at these levels when it's dancing. That's going to... Okay, good. I just got to put this out right now. So I'm going to offer some out at 137. That should get me back to roughly flat. And then if we can get going after that, then that would be great. Slightly more. Okay, here we go. Here we go. Yes, yes, yes. Alibaba. Okay, I believe we are now ready. So there it is. Scan that QR code below and grab your first month free with eSignal. Trade smarter, not first of all, 1 month free, you guys should do that. Trade harder,
no brainer.
Not smarter. Trade smarter, not harder, the other way around. And get this immediately. Everything, instant data. The thing about it is, you want to look at Alibaba, you could trade it over in China if you wanted to. These guys have those quotes. So you got to talk to them, execute your best trades. It's real-time data. It's back testing. It's all the charts, man. It's every index. It's futures. It's anything. There's an option screener. We talked about that with Joe before. Everything you need to elevate your trading is right here. And it's just the trade rate indicator, as Neil mentioned, some of the stuff that's showing right there, some of those scans, it just gives you those little opportunities, right? I don't know, if I look at this right now, we have, even just right now, it's Grab, Nvidia, Palantir, Rigetti, SMCI, they're all just blasting. There's Alibaba. You see Walmart's not on here anymore. So as these names start, there's Alibaba just sticking, getting up there, right? So as these names start to go, wow, 52-week high, 129 today. So anyways, I think that for a month free, that doesn't happen often, man. We had to twist some arms to get that. So I definitely think that it's something worth taking advantage of.
If it doesn't help you,
that's what I'm saying. Just get rid of it.
Yeah,
I don't know.
And the other thing to mention about this, I don't think we say this enough, is it's so customizable what you can include with it. If you want, if you want futures, add futures. You want level 2? Add that. If you don't want it, don't add it. You want to connect it to your broker, go ahead and do that and execute your trades right there. It's highly, highly customizable. What stock? CNH. Looking at the bid ask. Not that I need to. I could pull it up on my level too. But you can see the bid ask right now of CNH if you want. And that's sort of the thing. Find the things that work for you, and it's absolutely free. Trading is about a lot of trial and error, and there's a big part. You can't have trial and error without the try part. If you're not trying to figure out a new scanner or a new indicator or what stocks to look at, you're going to find yourself in some trouble. Grubs in the chat. Are you guys excited for any earnings after hours? Are we excited for any earnings after hours? Rivian reports after market. Block reports after market. I feel like maybe it'd be nice if they would change the name from XYZ, because every time I go to call up that stock, I just will never type in, except for right now. Literally right now, I will type XYZ. But they report after market. Those are two ones that should run. I shouldn't say should run. I should move. is the best way to put it, up or down. Those are some expected big ones. Going to be a good aftermarket show. I believe Sharif is going to be on there on the desk with Sean. So there's a lot to cover, obviously a lot to go over in the market today. Don't sleep on what some of the ETFs did. Like, don't sleep on the move that the financial stocks made today. And we talk a lot about big cap tech, right? But like, they're not the only things that move today. Decent little run recently for energy out there. But yeah, I'm excited for those two names in particular. Rivian's another, while we're on the subject, because I was just talking about Baba and being done with, well, not done with, I have a stop. So technically speaking, I'm not done with Boeing yet. I could be, but I'm not done with it yet. I just have a stop underneath the 50 period. Well, Rivian, if it loses the 200 period, peace. It's done. It did a run. The first time it did this move, I took nothing out at 18. I said it, and I was like, I'm an idiot. And the second time it did, I did take some out, not at 16. I think I got it at like $14.90 or $14, whatever, underneath for $15, and still hold on to piece for the dream. Well, like the lucid dream being kind of cool, but not really a thing yet. If we lose the 200 period, I'm just going to dump this stock. And as I said, I've been DCAing mostly into the Qs recently, but maybe I pick something else that I like the dollar cost into, and that's what I'd go for. And Booking Holdings also reports, apparently.
Yep, Booking Holdings, Rivian, Live Nation.
You know what?
New Holdings reports. And
repository of information right there. See off the top of his head. Oh, New had a big imbalance while you were. It was like a 4 million to the sell side the other day. So it's worth watching going into the close. It's had some big imbalances, and they report tonight.
Okay, so we'll watch out for New Holdings. And just a random turn of events. Bitcoin went back up, so we got some more out. And now we'll wait to see what happens. We just got 15s there. Like, we talked about the 50-period moving average. I just didn't want to take it. I mean, we got sidetracked there with Alibaba. And, you know, turning your day into a disaster. It will never be a disaster if that broke. I'm not using that many shares. Someone said, so if you ask me a question, I just can't remember what it was. Someone asked me something about this position and what it meant. I don't know what it was, but anyways, someone asked me about it, and yeah, it's not like a huge position or anything like that. But I think it was how much of my day am I risking on this trade? Okay, I mean, I can. So if this fell down and actually got me out, I think now I'm going to use this as. I mean, maybe 50. I'm going to maybe even go a little bit. Yeah, maybe just get out at 56 now if it winds up breaking because it wound up holding. But initially we were talking about down here. So that would be 30 cents on that many shares. What am I in? It's probably about 10 or 15% of my day, probably, on that trade. So I think that's a very, very reasonable thing to risk at this time. So instead, all I'm doing is kind of like adding 3 or 4% to it because it's not really moving. But anyways, great question. Those are the kind of questions that I'm talking about that I really want you guys to ask us because I think that that's the most important. Like how we trade these things is one thing, right? Like this is like to show you this trade, like this is important to me because we're sitting there, like we didn't touch it until it came to VWAP. Okay, U.S., some judge just said that Trump can continue to fire as many U.S. workers as he wants.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah, I wonder what side of the bench that judge is on. All good. But anyways, $60 right here for SMCI is going to be my out for the last piece. It will only be a $2.50 winner if we wound up getting out there. But guys, we're short right here at 62.50. We got out at 58.70. So that was like $4 or so on that trade. So it was good until that latest move. We had talked about Nvidia having problems at 140. We definitely took advantage of that when it came up there, but definitely 200 period hold. We'll look to see for Nvidia tomorrow what it can or cannot do at the 200 period M to the A. All right, so yeah, Alibaba, man, right when we went to that ad, we were able to get out at 137. So we still have pieces on of this. We only got out of probably about half of what we had there. I was waiting for more than that. So let's see if it wants to go upside right here to end the day for this name. We're only long at 72s. I'm going to put something again like at 92, see if it does rally up. Remember, the imbalances are coming right now. So yeah, exactly. So, okay, what just happened? Nothing. All right, so I'm going to refresh all of this and just make sure my stop orders are in. So I'm
just moving.
Yeah, I just have 3 positions. So I'm just going to try to manage all of these quickly and then work on it from there. So that's what my idea is. Right?
Only because D-Loaf asked, I wasn't very clear what I was saying with Rivian, and which is fine. Just one thing. Balances in 90 seconds, no longer stopping this underneath the prior low, going to give it to this 2570 level on Intel. So what I was getting at with Rivian, Rivian with a nice little bounce going into earnings. Bounced off VWAP. Every time I pull up a chart and randomly have a support or resistance line that I knew I drew days ago and it ends up looking this good, I always get mad at myself. Because I did not draw this line today on Rivian. And I don't even remember what day it was. But what I was sort of getting at was, I am now trailing out of Rivian, which I've been a buyer at this like 10 half area a few times here. I'm trailing out of it underneath this support at the 200 period moving average, which happens to be like the wicks under 12 bucks. So I think I put like 1180 or 11, whatever it was. I should put like 1169. Doesn't really matter, but I have a trail underneath there on the daily. Like it's a swing trade. Like I'm not actually in the stock as a day trade. It's just just been in it for, I think, a little bit too long for the dream. And don't know if I like it that much. And if I think there's going to be some good dip buying opportunities, then that's not when I want to hold on to something like this. So it was just really a swing type of trade idea. 15 seconds till the imbalances come in. So let's see what happens. I meant to go all the way over to the locator. Going to keep eyes out for potentially, I'm not saying NU is going to have one, but it had one that has an early look, and it had one yesterday, and they report after market.
There's Grab.
And you might see, say, Grab reported, or did they report? They were supposed to. I think they reported this morning. It was supposed to be last night. But balances just came in here. That's not big. 1.8 for NU is half what it was yesterday. Nvidia 1.7, that's okay, but that's not that big either. And then Lamb is in there. Lamb for $1 million doesn't usually have $1 million to the buy side. Amazon $1 million to the buy side. They're not huge. No. The only one that's weird, I guess, would be like LRCX. I'm not accustomed to seeing that for 1 million shares. What's the volume there? Oh, that's right. Yeah, it's done 12 million. It's split. I remember Lamb split, so it does. Like back in the day, before like pre-split, Lamb 1 million shares would have been a massive imbalance. But now post-split, that's not that big of a deal.
So again, in Keystroke Nation over here, what's going on? I got out of SMCI when I did not mean to, but the stop was going to be at 60 anyways. So we're getting really close, and this might be bank error in my favor again because we wound up getting out about 75. We were going to get out if it broke 60. So if you're still in it, that would still be my target, and there's the 60 level right there. And it looks like it might not take it out, but it looks like it may. These imbalances, as Neil said, not super exciting. It did get me out of some more Alibaba, though. For some reason, Alibaba went up to 90. What did I get there? 98s on that imbalance. So, okay. It was actually 93s, not 98s. But so that turned out to be okay. So we're licking our wounds a little bit with Alibaba so far. So that's not too bad. I don't even see it on here, which is kind of surprising. And to Neil's point, it's not super active here into the closing markets of the day as they wait for the Hang Seng and everything to open up, right? So I'm not expecting too much. I'm just going to start getting some more out here. We just took some out at 75 right now. I'm now offering 80s. I'll put another offer up there at 91 again, and if that fills, that's great. We're looking for that 80 fill. We just missed it. Hopefully we can get that. And the other trade is IBIT. Unfortunately, IBIT is sleeping a little bit. Neil and I have to be flat at the end of every single day, so I'm just going to start to piece this out. Even if I get out now, it'll be a positive stock because it'll be a 2-cent loss. And whatever. I just wish it had moved more. There's not much. You can't get blood from a stone, right? If it's not going to do anything, it's not going to do anything. So we'll have to wait for that. There's that New Holdings, New Balance shoes. What am I wearing today? Nope.
I got my New Balance in the car because I got physio tonight.
I got the New Balances as well.
I love New Balance.
Yeah, my daughter's got some hype New Balance that she wears for her CrossFit and all that.
Unrelated.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. It's top of my mind. What gear, what does she rep? Like, what gear does she wear for like batting gloves? Like
batting gloves?
Batting gloves, like gloves, shoes, like kind of.
I just bought her. So she's 10 years old. I just spent $250 on a hockey stick.
Underarm is starting to do really good stuff in baseball.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, like a lot of the guys I knew that play, a lot of them are like Underarm's got good stuff. And you wouldn't think of them for baseball, but
yeah, her cleats are Under Armour for sure.
Well,
I got to get back into baseball zone right now.
Bauer
has this new stick called the Twitch or something, and she needed a new one.
Twitch?
Yeah, it's these kids, man.
No, like in your head, it's like, okay, it doesn't. Just very quickly.
No. It's fine.
I did get out of it. Like Intel went to that 26. I'm getting out. I think it's safe to go back to start thinking of Intel as maybe a long again. It's a couple of rough days for Intel, but you got the V-shaped recovery, back above 25, held the 200 period moving average, kind of trying to battle, trying to maybe retake this prior high, and then you go right back into the gap fill. Because I know we were talking about, could it make the full gap fill into $30 with Obi? And I was like, yeah, I think you can still do it. I just didn't think it was going to happen this week. But I like the hold of the 200 period moving average there for Intel. There's been a lot of questions about Celsius, so I appreciate you in the chat. A lot of people have been mentioning Celsius. Everyone wants to bottom pick. I feel a lot of people seem to want to bottom pick this stock. And you just had a bump on earnings that is now resisted almost exactly the 50 on the daily. The trend is distinct, but it is so close. I always feel like if you make a range after earnings and you consolidate that range for a week, you'll want the break. And you almost don't care which direction. In this case, it would be more exciting for it to be up. So it's confirmed the top end of the range post-earnings now. It's got a 21% short float. We've been talking about short floats. I think this is one where it's worth it to maybe try for a trade, take out the top. Although for me, if I'm looking at swing trades, not day trades, I generally want it closing above the 50 period and then making a move. I want a little more confirmation. That's just for me when I take swing trades, especially on weak stocks. So there's not much to revert at 355 because Nvidia was only 1.5 million to buy. We'll keep it on here for the next few seconds, just see what happens. Maybe something will pop up that wasn't there before. And there it is. I mean, Nvidia is now gone. TLT is the only thing over 1 million shares, and Vale as well. I don't even see Nvidia anymore. So yeah, there was not much to revert there, but Nvidia clearly just made a little bit of a flip. Or not flip, it probably just paired off. It wasn't a flip at all. Could have just gone from 1.5 million to nothing. So bounces are a nothing burger. If you don't get Classy Kent, if you don't get into Tesla, you're missing out. I'm in Tesla. I like Tesla.
I just bought Tesla down there at 330.
I'm a believer in Tesla.
I was actually regretting I sold Palantir at 114, a little bit of it, and bought some Tesla just to diversify a little bit. I don't know if that's going to work out or not.
Your
but
bonds.
So far, it's working out so far. Yeah, no, I want to give a huge shout out. I'm gonna step away from the recap show, just not feeling it. And Sharif has stepped up. So I just want to say awesome. Thank you so much. Props that up. So Sharif will be doing it there. I want to say thank you to Sharif because, that's good of him to do that. So we'll see. Thanks, Sharif. All right. What else just happened? All right. So Alibaba fell through there, which is okay. 136.50 just came out as it dropped through. It was okay. We played that news. I'm not going to feel bad about anything now. That's just a trade there for me on Alibaba. So that's all good right there for now. All right. That's IBIT. That's Alibaba. So we're still in IBIT. That looks like it'll break down a little bit. As we got closer, we were starting to get out of it, but we were going to hold just slightly under 56. So if that comes through right now, and hopefully it is able to hold there, but we'll see if it does or not right now for that one. And then, a lot of people asking about Reddit. Yeah,
maybe a good bottom today. Maybe.
I mean, maybe it was a good bottom yesterday, but the thing is now, well, I'm saying you might have wanted it off the 50 period.
Yeah.
You get that wick into 170. I was off the last couple of days, but I don't really. Didn't they have earnings and it went up? It was.
No, they had earnings. They had earnings and they dumped. Come to my chart for a second. I actually had the day. So they had earnings and they had dumped in the aftermarket.
Right.
And then by the time you got to the open, it had done the whole move back. So it was a buy the day after earnings, but it's been trending down ever since, including today. It broke that earnings bottom. So like what's interesting about it is it's getting into a supply zone like at 160. But if it just maybe reclaims, like, do a little V-shape, breakout here, they might have trapped some new shorts that I think might have taken that short underneath like 179 for Reddit. I think it's still in the wait for it phase. Like the 200 period's at $100 for the stock. So I didn't know you were gonna. Yeah, obviously we want you to get better. Shout out to Shreve. I'm gonna join Shreve for like 10 to 15 minutes because I can. I didn't know you couldn't do it. I can do like 10, 15.
I mean, I can do it. I just don't want to be. If I'm not going to be feeling that well,
dude, it's all good. I can.
Too close to.
I know you're battling it.
Yeah.
It's all, which is all good. But I don't have to.
Well,
leave
the thing
the
is
video for like
also
10 to 15.
like Adara's off ill, so it's for Sharif to get like he sat beside Adara all day yesterday.
Yeah.
So like,
that.
I don't know, man. You might see Brendan hitting some trades tomorrow. The way this is
Brendo on the one. People forget this, but when we first started out the show, we had a rotation. It was literally a rotation. There was the trading desk and there was the news desk, and we all rotated. And
I mean, he can't do any worse. So let's just see what happens there with Brendan tomorrow. But yeah, no, we love everybody here. We got such a great team. I want to thank Obi again for his big trade today. That's for sure. All right, 1 minute until the market closes. Just to have a quick look here on the imbalances. All right, yeah. So Neil's gonna go join. AMCR TLT. Actually, I know you talked to Rader about. Finance stocks, but I know that he was looking at TLT for a while there. Should have asked him more about that one. XOM was just on there. Intel continues to be a sell, but look at Intel's move. Yes, sir. Wow. All right. Some big time situations here happening in the market, man. That Intel up to $26. What? I guess that got as high 2 days ago as 28. What? All right, so we'll see if that can hit that again. All right, someone's got to ring that bell. Now we only have 20 seconds. Neil's going to go do it.
I can do it.
Yeah, Neil's going to go over there. Okay, that's nice. We haven't seen him do this in a while. All right, the countdown is now on. So we'll run that countdown bell. There he is right now. We want to thank Foremost Clean Energy, FMSD, for sponsoring the bell here again as well. 3, 2, 1.
I didn't break it. See? You can do it without breaking the mallet. Realize I was staying on the wrong
thing is,
side.
like, you didn't hear me cough at all in the morning show, and I think it's just using the voice more, like, really started to get going there a little bit. So Crosby with 5 tonight. No, so I did look up the odds, right? It's even for both teams. So the bets I have for today, we're going to go over because the earnings are coming. I have McDavid at plus money to get a point. It's like boosted on FanDuel. So I have McDavid to get a point. I'm pretty sure that's going to happen. I mean, it could be a 1-1 game, 2-1 game. So that may not happen. And then, of course, I have money line. Will this work? No. I have money line on the black flag there. So we'll see if Team Canada can win this one. Either way, man, if you're a fan of the sport, this is just great. I mean, I feel that this is the biggest hockey game in a while. If you do have a chance, get a chance to watch it. I think it's on Disney Plus or whatever Disney's called it. So go check that out on Disney if you have that. And if you're not interested, cool. Watch Beast Games or whatever. I will see everybody tomorrow. Hopefully, I'm going to get some sleep there, and we'll be back here tomorrow. But thank you for sticking with me today and all of us. I do want to thank, of course, Brett Favre, who came through today, who really was an exciting moment for all of us here to have him on. Talked about something so super important to all of us, especially those that watch sports, as they deal with concussions and some of the downfalls of those contact sports, right? And so we want to thank Brett for coming through as well. And thanks, Brendan. That was a great interview as well. And we had CIBC on live as well, talking about their CDRs, which is a great product that I am heavily invested in myself. So, all right, then we will see everybody tomorrow. But for now, it's earnings bonanza with the two handsome gentlemen standing at the desk. Let's go.
We're standing up, everybody. We're standing up.
Why not, right?
I haven't stood up since the injury, which is great. It feels good. Booking's already out here, which I understand it's a $5,000 stock, everybody. So BKNG, there was a nice move to the upside, but it's now gone right back into flat territory for Booking. I don't even see the numbers out yet, but they haven't hit my wire.
They're not. I don't see them.
It looks like maybe someone like fat fingered at the end of the day there. Look, we're expecting to get Block. We're expecting to get Rivian. We've got Mercado Libre supposed to be aftermarket.
Right now, it's already
NEM.
reported, Neil.
Melly's out. Melly's out. Okay, let's go to Melly.
$12.5. Talk about expensive stocks. BKNG, $5,000. You got Mercado Libre here. Big move up, Neil. 12.5%. I still don't have the numbers for Mercado Libre, but here's what we're expecting. Bookings.com, Mercado Libre, 4 o'clock. You're going to get Numa. You're going to get Live Nation, Rivian, Dropbox, and Block all at 4 or 5. Those are coming soon, Neil. Here's what we were expecting for Mercado Libre. We're looking for EPS of $7.61 on revenue of $5.94 billion. This thing is on one, baby.
What a move.
13.2%, Neil. Raymond James expect improved efficiency. Basically, they're looking for revenue basically increase 40% year over year, up to about $6 billion. Still looking on the blotter here. There we go. Now we're getting the data. There it is, Neil. All right, let's make some comparisons here. So, yeah, I love how they make it
34% year over year revenue growth, 130% EPS growth as well. So that's pretty good. I haven't seen any comparables yet, though. So I see the number that we got here is revenue 5.9 and EPS 7.58 per share. But I don't have the comparables on that. Just know that that's a big beat. Oh, sorry, big year over year growth.
So we're looking for 34%. So that's a beat. 7.58 they were looking for on revenue of how much?
5.9.
So another beat, 5.94 is, that's a
no, 5.92, that's a miss.
That's a miss.
That's a miss on, yeah. So it's actually a miss, but it doesn't really matter. We're headed to the upside here. It's $2,400, $2,380, 15% to the upside so far on Ameli. We were expecting 8. So that is significantly bigger than the expected move. 8% expected, and we got 14. So a bit of a blowout here. Be nice if they'd ever split this stock, and then we could actually more people would be active in trading it, maybe more options plays involved as well, but doesn't matter. You're 1 for 1 here on earnings.
There you go. Rivian, guys, it's out. It looks like it's out here. It's zigging. It's zagging. It's down 5%. It popped up, Neil, to about 14.80. Now we're dropping aggressively below 13. This looks like a miss. I still don't have the numbers on Rivian, so we'll pack our patience. Still waiting for that to come in over here. Is this it right here? Announced, yes. Okay, so we got fourth quarter full financial. Let me open up this for you guys so you can see it a little bit better. Here it is. So now we're looking at this. So what did we get in terms of, still looking over here to look for the data. Okay, so I don't see the data forthcoming too quickly, but
I'm still not seeing it.
Yeah, this is what we were expecting over here. I'll show you guys what we were expecting on earnings. We were looking for projected revenue of $1.5 billion to be up from 1.3. Margins are key here. Wall Street expects profit of $64 million. Kind of surprised there. They're looking for loss of vehicle $4,500. They're looking for deliveries, Neil, of about 14,183, up from 13,900 in the previous.
Well, you say 14,000. I see right here in the fourth quarter they produced 12,727. That's going to be a miss in terms of the production there. So 12.7 thousand. That was a weird. Did you guys see that as well? So that's not very good on the production number there. Gross profit 170 million. Don't know how that compares to the profit expectation that you had there. But I'm not really seeing the comparables. Just this one note here. Their adjusted EBITDA did improve year over year, 729 million there for Rivian. It's actually right back to where we started on Rivian. Like you went 13.5 to 14.8, right back into 13, and then right back to essentially flat. It's down 1%. Not a huge move. When you stack it up on the daily, pretty much a nothing burger in terms of movement. So I can tell you, I have not trailed out of this thing yet. I threw it in there today, but we'll see. Certainly not much happening here on Rivian relative to expectations of a 13% expected move. So this would be the case where the option writers have definitely won this battle for now.
Clearly.
And yeah, you just get no movement whatsoever on Rivian, despite a little bit of disappointment.
It's interesting here. You got a miss for production, so that's a big miss there. We're looking for 14,100. They printed, or they made, 12,700. But here's what's interesting. They were able to shore up costs, Neil. So we're looking for profit of 64 million. They've achieved gross profit of 170. That's more than double. That's almost two and change there.
Okay.
So we'll keep eyes on that. Obviously, we're going to look for the guidance. I want to hear a lot about the R2, which we've been talking a lot about, whether or not they're going to be able to have it for next year. So we'll keep tabs on that. But Rivian well, kind of recovering right now. Is definitely down to 1290. Looks like maybe people are waiting for the call there, which I do believe. Let's have a look over here, see when that call starts. I believe it is around 5:30, 5 o'clock, guys. The call on Rivian will start, and I'm sure analysts will be asking plenty of questions about that R2, Neil. We also have. Who else do we have at 405? We have Live Nation, we have Newmont, we have Dropbox, and we have Block. XYZ, I hate the new ticker, by the way. We're still haven't gotten Block yet, so we'll keep. Oh, here we go.
Nobody likes the new ticker, but right now it's making a small move, not a huge one. I saw Dropbox as well making a small move, so nothing's really going crazy on Dropbox. Or on Block. It's a slight move to the upside here after the close. Still don't have any numbers. I think Newmont starting to get some numbers out of NEM. So we are expecting them to report as well. Yeah, they're just reporting some reserves there.
With Intel.
Intel?
Yeah, I'm not really sure what's going on.
Is it good?
Yeah, it's spiking up.
Yeah, buddy. What?
No, get that out of you.
What? It's better than being down. I'll take it. We have news on there?
Yeah, I don't have any news, but it's up 2.25% here towards the end. Maybe it was just some buying towards the end there. We'll keep an eye out on that for everybody. But Rivian moving back to the high side over here, zigging and zagging. So it did initially pop up into 1480, down into 1280. Now it's kind of recovering into that 1420. So we'll see exactly how the market wants to kind of digest Rivian's results. Should let you also know that Live Nation also has reported here. Or have they? We just popped up to 158, dropping back down into 152. I don't have anything on my blotter quite yet for Live Nation, so we'll pack our patience there.
We got to run around the 5.9. The 5.9 up 7. What?
I love it. Newmont, Neil, reported as well. What's this? They are obviously a gold producer. They deal with a lot of rare earth elements, copper, zinc, etc. They did report they're up 2.93% here in the aftermarket. Here's how they did. So let's compare to what the street was looking for Newmont. Let me just weasel on down into my Newmont notes over here and have a look at how they did relative to what the street was looking for. So we got EPS of $1.06. They printed EPS here, adjusted EPS of $1.40. So that's a handy beat there. On revenue of $5.3 billion was the expectations. They printed $5.65. So another handy or easily beat on that one. So we'll keep tabs on that. What else are they talking about? $16.8 billion acquisition of Newcrest Mining last year. That'll have to be discussed on the call. Already up 2.62%, but off the high of 49, almost $50 there for Newmont. We'll keep tabs on that. Obviously, very important with the electric vehicle build out, and they deal with a lot of that kind of stuff. So keep tabs on that, Neil. We're still waiting for Live Nation, which is now down. Oh, here we got the report on Live Nation. So here it is, 5.68 billion, beating the $5.6 billion dollar estimate. What did we get for EPS? Looking, don't see it quite yet. So we'll keep tabs on that. What was the market looking for from Live Nation? Here it is. We were looking for $5.67 billion worth of revenue on EPS of negative, or loss per share, of $1.03. So I'll keep scouring this very lengthy report.
Well, worth keeping in mind maybe where Live Nation's coming from. Like, it's not moving a heck of a lot, and regardless of what the numbers are, it's been on an absolute tear. Which in this market, if you don't break the high on earnings when you're on this kind of a run, I'd be a little bit concerned with it. So, at the end of the day, like, it's really right at the top. It's not moving a heck of a lot, but even a failure to break away too far could be a little bit of a sign of maybe profit taking. We've seen some trepidation in the market with names like this, for sure. Adam DeLuz, shout out to you. I got him. He's in the chat. He just said Sidney Crosby. Where was it? It was just there a second ago. There it is. Sidney Crosby. Let's go. Hopefully he has a night tonight.
Yeah, Adam.
Daryl saying aren't Block earnings at 5.
Block?
No.
They are
no,
not.
I did know. 405 is one. Yeah, I thought we were expecting 405. Either way, the Block ain't hot. It's down at, and this is what happens when you have a crappy ticker. Down to $80, although crazy action there. It actually just bounced 80 back into 82. So Block initial move to the downside for X, Y, Z. And I get it. I understand what they're trying to do with that. It's like the 3 dimensions of a cube. But I just think you're being a little bit too sneaky because I literally just typed in SQ to see where the numbers are coming in on the news. What do we have here? I don't have any comparables right now. I know their call is going to be at at 5.
Yep.
So the conference calls at 5 for Block. Nice rebound off the $80 level. This is a name, XYZ. Oh yeah, this is probably not going to have it from pre-split, that just recently made a bottom at about $81 here. So you did have a local bottom of support that it looks like for now it's holding on to for the blocked one.
Okay, we got DBX.
It's a little too nerdy, that
Yeah, I like
ticker
it.
for me.
I never really wanted to change it away from Square, but that's not really my concern.
Right.
Dropbox, Neil, reported down 2 1/3%. Here's what we were expecting. We were looking for EPS of 62 pennies. That would have been a 24% year-over-year increase. We got here EPS of 73. That's a good beat there. But looks like we also beat on earnings as well. $643 million in revenue. The street was looking for 638. They beat estimates, EPS estimates, that is 100% of the time the last 2 years, as well as revenue, but it's down here. Not sure exactly why, or maybe it was the guide or lack thereof, maybe waiting for the call. But Dropbox dropping in the aftermarket 2 1/3% despite handily beating there. As you mentioned, XYZ is out, Neil. It is headed to the downside. Here's what we got. 71 cents for EPS. What
I don't like it.
For? Let's have a look at...
Oh, it's getting worse. 78. It just broke through 79, now down into 70. So that support that was there at 80 on Block, yeah, you better say something good on that call because you are losing the bid in here. And remember, sometimes they'll move around with crypto a little bit. And that's been, I think, a good source for them. But no, we had a good bounce today. So if we're now underneath that support level because we're trading at 79. So the most recent support is gone now for Block.
Wow.
Yeah, they're going to need to say something good on the call. You're only down 6.5%. So I suppose like you could maybe lean into that as it's not a gigantic move. I'm just trying to be a little bit optimistic about the action that we're seeing right now on Block. But yeah, not looking too good for them. Hasn't really been too much of a blowout. I mean, unless you're talking about names that are thousands and thousands of dollars, like Mercado Libre was the one that was booming to the upside here, but not looking so good here for Block.
So I can't really find the revenue expectations, guys, but what they were looking for was 71 pennies in EPS. That's a miss. So consensus EPS here was for 87 pennies. That would have been up from 45 pennies last year. So it was a high expectation. So that's a miss there. 71, 87. Still looking for the revenue numbers. Can't seem to get my hands on those revenue numbers. I don't know why they make it so difficult. In any event, the expectations for revenue from Block was 6.29 billion. So we'll have to wait and see whether it was a miss on the top and bottom line or just the bottom line there with EPS coming a little bit light. In case you're just joining us, guys, here's what's reported already. We got bookings.com. It looks like they're up about 1% there in the aftermarket. Probably not going to be traded by too many of you, but if you're invested in this name, it's up another $200 since the close. Also, Mercado Libre, Meli, up decidedly there. We closed out yesterday's print at $2,080. Now we're on our way to $2,400. It was a handy beat there. This is a very people, what do they call this? They call this JP Morgan of Latin America or something like that.
I've heard that one before. There's another name which, like, I don't actually have a pun for this, and I think if Adara was sitting here, she'd have a great pun for Celsius. But I don't. I know a lot when movements happening like this, a lot of names might get missed. Celsius, it looks like they're out as well. But a lot of people were talking about this for a bottom pick and a bit of a bounce. It's not happening. They're down 9%. It did make a recent bounce off 23. Like it just, if you come to the chart very quickly here for Celsius, it did just recently bounce off the top. I can show you right in here. I'm not even seeing the numbers reported yet, but yeah, we'll keep an eye. It doesn't look that great, and ultimately, underneath a big support level recently, like right in here, like it had just regained 25. So to come right back under, it's still not at the lows. Like the actual lows are closer into $20 there for CLH. Could be interesting. Now, where it gets interesting tomorrow is because you've got the proximity of that $20 low. If it's SSR, we've seen a lot of names go that double digits down recently. Slap a short float on it, 21% short float for Celsius, and then look for just a reversion long. We saw a crazy move back up in Robinhood. We saw a crazy move back up today in Palantir, especially right off of that open when everyone's dumping it. Celsius could be that kind of a stock. But for the long term, unfortunately, it does not catch the bid here.
I got more information on
Celsius.
Rivian, Neil. So it was, here's the deal. So forgive us because, this is coming out in real time. Adjusted EPS beats 46 pennies. They were also looking for sales of 1.4 billion. They printed 1.73. It seems as if they also delivered, Neil, about 14,183 cars, which I believe is, that's what the street was looking for. Excuse me there. No, that's incorrect. So it looks as if sales came in at 1.7 billion. The street was projecting 1.5, so an easy beat there as well. Now, the issue is coming with the guidance. It says it's guidance that is a problem, so the company expects to deliver 46,000 to 51,000 vehicles in 25. That's in the midpoint of the range between 48, which was at 48,500, below the projections of about 55,000 vehicles. Rivian delivered almost 52,000 cars last year in 2024, which means the company, sadly, is expecting a decline for 2025. That's not what you want to hear. Investors don't want a drop, especially with that R2 coming out likely in 2026. So a beat on the top and bottom line for Rivian, but it looks as if the guide a little light. Zigging and zagging though, Neil. I mean, it's only down 0.2%, like right at that closing print.
That's not bad.
Yesterday.
Considering the fact that it was a much larger expected move, I don't think it's all that bad. You've also got New Holdings, which is reported. I mean, another name to the downside. It just feels like it's been like beat after. When I say beat, I mean like beat down after beat down after beat down. NU down 8%. Another one that we expected. They've been called the Brazilian. It was SoFi. Sorry, the South American SoFi, I think, is what a lot of people call New Holdings. Had been on a pretty nice run. I hate to do this, but I wanted to make sure I jumped on and just give you a little bit of support.
No, of course.
I do have physio, and I don't know if Kave, he's probably not watching. He's working right now. I love that look.
What he's doing over there?
I love that look.
Creative, huh?
I think it's a fantastic look. We should do this all the time. We got both the charts up there.
Okay.
We have both of our faces. We can go back and forth and have the one-on-one.
I appreciate you for coming on.
No, I appreciate you as well, and thanks for stepping in for Sean.
Thank you for
We're going to do some mobility work at physio today, so I got to get out of here.
All right, guys.
Cheers, everybody.
Thanks for coming on, Neil. Yeah, guys, we're keeping an eye on Block right now because it is headed to the downside. We're talking to the tune of almost 10%. It's trying to defend that $75 area. The new ticker, in case you haven't been with us for a while on Block, it is no longer Square or Block for that matter. It was never Block. It is now XYZ. It seems to be finding some support at 75.5 there. It looks as if gross profit 2.32 billion, year-over-year growth of around 11%. It didn't matter though because there's no such thing as good or bad earnings. There is either better or worse. So we'll keep an eye out on this. Let me just pull up my Block notes over here. It is the last one. Okay, so let's pull this up. Let's see exactly what we were expecting there for Block. Again, we were looking for revenue of 6.29 billion, up from 5.77 the year before, with consensus EPS coming in at 87 pennies. Last year on the quarter was about 45 pennies. Here's what we're getting so far. Let's have a look at what we got. Okay, so it looks like they improved their. I don't even know what this is. Let's have a look down over here to see exactly. There we go. Now we're talking. So Block gross profit of 2.32 billion. That's gross profit. Okay, we'll keep an eye on that. I'm not sure exactly what's happening here. Let's have a look and see what else we can find in terms of numbers on this one. I'm going to have to let this one go for a little bit until I can get my hands on the actual numbers, guys. But for now, we're headed aggressively to the downside. Also, Dropbox reported as well after the bell. This is also down 5%. Not one that we often trade on the show. DBX is the ticker. This one did report. Looks like it was a miss there as well, as we continue to watch and see whether or not any of these recover. Rivian, we're also focusing on that. This one hasn't really decided what it's going to do. It was a miss for guidance with them looking to drop production and deliveries into 25 as compared to 24, but it was a beat on the top and bottom line. So we'll monitor exactly what RJ Scaringe says on the call there, especially with respect to R2. I think that is what a lot of people are looking for there. Pardon me? Okay. So we'll keep watching that. Also, Newmont reported the rare earth elements or minerals company. That one looks like it was a beat there. They're up 1.84% after the bell. But a lot of these ones are really not going to move after the bell until we've gotten the analyst questions on the call and we've heard what management has to say, as well as the next day. A lot of these, the bigger money or bigger players are not going to be punching into this in the aftermarket, but rather will wait to digest this information and then make their decision tomorrow. Let's have a look at how we did on these markets today. So the NQ was faring a lot worse. We did recover later into the trading day. I believe we were down about 120 some odd points at its worst. We did recover a little bit there, coming back into about 22,150. At its worst, we did breach 22,000 momentarily. We did dip down into about 21,950, but that was quickly bought up. The ES didn't fare much better. The NQ and the ES essentially down half a point each, with the ES trying to reclaim that 6150 area, coming in a little light. The Dow and the Russell both decidedly negative on the day, as the Dow was down 1% below 44.3, as well as the Russell 2000 and the small caps also dropping 1% below that 22,075 point area. Bitcoin, we continue to watch that after it had a tough few days. Bitcoin still below 100,000, but was able to eke out some gains today, about 2.25% in the green, as well as oil up a little bit higher. Gold continues to make newer highs. Not today, though. We got into the contract there, the April contract, about 29,073, so good look for gold. We'll monitor that after it made all-time highs as people look to hedge their investments with the issue of tariffs. This is a look at Mercado Libre. Huge move up, not a name that we typically trade, but a decided earnings win up into that $2,400 area, a very expensive name. Likewise, with Bookings.com continuing to head up the $5,250 name, up 3% after the bell, a good look there. We also got Live Nation, guys. Not one that we often trade after the bell or on the bell. We'll have a look how they did on their report there. It looks like they reported revenue of $5.68 billion, beating the estimates lightly there of $5.67 billion. So not a bad look. This is what we were expecting in terms of revenue. From the previous expectations, 5.67 billion was the look. We were looking for EPS. The street was looking for a negative loss per share, actually, of $1.03. Keep an eye out on that. If I see the EPS numbers there, I will let you know. Looks like they did generate quite a bit of revenue this year as well. XYZ Block continues to recover off that 75.50 balance, looking like it's headed back into the upside. We're continuing to watch Dropbox as well, as it's dropping even more. I didn't mean to make a pun there, but looks like it's dropping a little bit more into that $30 level, now down 6 2/3% after the bell. Rivian still waiting on anything to decide the direction that wants to go. It looks like the high there intraday was 1450. We did spike a little bit higher into that 1480 area, but we are still undecided in which direction we're going to go here on Rivian, as it remains flat, down technically 1/3%, guys. So those are the different movers we were looking at today. Obviously, we had SMCI, which was in play, big mover on the day today. SMCI, you had the Katina Man and Obi both involved in this one, as it finally has a negative day. It's been an aggressive run up here. If we can look at the 15 here for SMCI, we're still waiting for that February 25th deadline. That is a deadline that the NASDAQ has given them to file their previously unfiled report from last year. So we'll have to pay attention and see whether or not they are sanctioned for not doing it and whether or not they get that out in time. What else was moving today? Let's have a look at Nvidia. We were talking about this one on the midday. Nvidia's been having a tough time holding above 140 bucks, but a lot better than where it was trading after that DeepSeek scare that sent this stock down, or losing, about $600 billion in market cap in one day. So a bit of a tougher look on that one. Just having a look to see what else is moving on the day over here. It doesn't look like there's a whole lot here, but DBX continues to head down. Dropbox really losing the bid. They're now 6 2/3 to the downside, guys. This is what we were expecting. Let's have a look at what we were expecting today. Booking Holdings reported earnings at 4. Mercado Libre as well. Decidedly green up into that 4. That reported at 4. Excuse me. Newmont Holdings, Live Nation, Rivian, Dropbox, and Block all reported at 4 or 5. All have now reported. Let's talk about when we expect some of these earnings calls to take place. So if you're involved in Booking Holdings, it looks as if the call will start in about 3 minutes, a 4:30 start on there. Mercado Libre, that one starts at 5 o'clock with Newmont starting today at 5:30. Live Nation will also start its earnings call at around 5 o'clock as well. Let's have a look over here. Rivian as well, going to report at 5, or not report, excuse me, the earnings call coming at 5 o'clock there. So we'll keep tabs on that. Dropbox as well, 5 o'clock, looking like they will start their call around that time. So we'll keep, I'm sure we'll have more to say about this tomorrow. So here again is the look. Booking Holdings up 2.5%. Mercado Libre up 14 3/4 with Newmont up 2.1% after the bell, but off the highs. Live Nation is still deciding what it wants to do. Barely any volume printing here in the aftermarket, up 0.8. Rivian finally catching a bid here. Looks like it's moving up 2% after zigging and zagging, dropping down into that 1280. We'll have to see if the street digests this one positively or what the situation is. Dropbox continues to lose the bid there. Now knocking the door of 8% in the negative and about to break that $30 area. A bit of a tougher look for this name, but a $9 billion market cap and Block recovering there. Look, doing that umbrella pattern that Adair sometimes talks about. $76 bounce, moving into 78. Again, if you're just joining us, the NQ down 0.5% today, despite recovering a little bit off the lows. Likewise with the ES up 0.48, or sorry, down 0.48. So a bit of a similar look today between the NQ and the ES, with the Dow and the Russell both down 1%. As the market was not having that today, with Bitcoin as well reclaiming 98,000 and up about 2%. Let me know, Fabian, when we are good there. All right, so that is the look. Let's see what everybody's up to in the chat. I forgot completely that we got to do this roll call. I guess so used to doing it during the midday that you forget to do it over here. Let's see who we've got joining us today in the chat. All right, let's do this. Let's bring out this window. Let's give everybody a shout out. All right, I see the Piper. I see Ticker Tacky. Shout out to Joseph Birch Music and DJ David Bunny, you gotta like that one. We got AB, shout out to Terrell and Taylor, Garrett Huggins, and let's go. Shout out to you guys as well. We got John Manzoni, we got Brian Thompson, baby. Who else we got? Jeremy Newman, Mark Such. We got Dollar Bill. Yo, I like that one. That's a good one. Michael Spratfora. I hope I didn't butcher that name. We got Brandon Townsend and Easy Media. How about Pineapple Undies? Get it, my man. That's a good one. Who else we got over here? Venado, Sebastian, Donkey Trader. We got Paco R. Shout out to Ronaldo, Malcolm Aldridge, and TX Trader. How about Taylor? Aces High 124. Shout out to you, my man. We got Garrett Huggins again, Wall Street Only, and Damian Tarasa. Drops Trades. We got JS Anko, Easy Media, and Johnny H. Shout out to Ron Miller and Sani Shiba. One coin, one trader. I hope you're invested in Bitcoin. Right, Fabian? Bitcoin's good, right? We got Escape Planet and Steven Romero. I hope everybody had a fantastic day. We'll see you guys bright and early tomorrow at 8:30, covering all these earnings names. Hope everybody has a good night.